What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and I'm joined by the usual suspects here, Robert DeFelice.
What is up, wrestling fans?
And Callum Wiggins.
I'm tired.
I'm not. I am wired. It is WrestleMania 35 that we are talking about right now. We're going to break down the results. We're going to go through match by match, segment by segment, what we liked, what we didn't like, and all that other kind of stuff. And we invite you guys to do the same and chime in the comments section below. And I got to tell you guys, I'm sitting here, I'm wearing my WrestleMania t-shirt, and I am feeling a whole heaping lot of, It was all right.
Yeah, you sounded so much more enthusiastic before.
Yeah, I know, that's the point.
To be fair, I can't say I disagree with that assessment.
What is it? What is the one word that you guys are feeling right now? What is it?
Tired.
Yeah. I don't think you understand. We're not you. We feel genuinely tired. But I will say, as far as the show is concerned, overall, I'm pleased.
Overall, in regards to the show, it's a very mixed bag.
We're going to go through that bag, and we're going to talk about all these different kinds of things, and why we're not perfectly satisfied, and at the same time, why we're not sitting here crapping all over it like we did at Crown Jewel. So if you loved it, try to not absolutely hate us for the things that we're not going to love, and if you absolutely hated us, if you absolutely hated us, then you're listening to the wrong fucking podcast. But if you absolutely hated the event, try to listen to some of the things that we liked, and maybe we'll change your opinion about it. Just keep that stuff in mind. And we're also we're not the types, for anybody that's like new to the podcast, we're not the types that everything has to be absolutely perfect or it's the worst fucking thing ever. So again, we're not going to go with match ratings here, and that's a 4.25 if I ever saw one. Like, you know what I mean? They're not going to be like that.
I know someone who hated it.
Is that you?
No, guest 5 in the Mega Maniacs. He's
really?
He was like, well, basically, obviously, we had the chat in the Mega Maniacs. People were talking that he got like our WrestleMania chat got over 1,000 comments. So like, thanks to everyone for getting involved in the conversation and just keeping things going. But yeah, guest 5 at the end of it was saying like it's the worst Mania he's seen since 29.
Well,
that
sense.
I can't even remotely agree with.
I think Payton agreed with that as well.
Well, he's paid.
Maybe it's just we can't have nice things at MetLife or something. And I gotta tell you, for somebody who was trying to get tickets really bad, I feel like I'm happy that I didn't buy the tickets for it. And if you guys remember, going into the thing, I was kind of like, I'm getting really kind of pumped for this. And I watched the Hall of Fame last night, and we'll talk about this a little bit probably on the hot tags about like running through the Hall of Fame itself, but I felt really anticipated for WrestleMania. I was really getting hyped after the Hall of Fame, and I feel like I'm okay that I didn't get to go, especially if I go next year.
Well, I'm looking forward to going next year. I'm a little sad that I didn't go to this one. Let me put it to you this way. Like they changed the Hall of Fame with the structure and the timing of it, next year they need to change the structure and timing of WrestleMania.
Some things do need to change. I'm a freak of nature, so I don't feel the whole like the super tired kind of feeling, but a lot of people are complaining about that. And, if I'm the exception to the rule, that doesn't mean that that's not a problem. And
the main event, I don't care if it's women or Brock or Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, should not start at midnight.
Well, see, shouldn't. Maybe WrestleMania needs to be starting at 3.
That's what that's what I'm saying. I think it should just start early. If you're dead set on doing what you do as far as the matches and getting everybody on the card and the length, just start earlier, because this was ridiculous.
Well, we are going to break down the pre-show to start things off. That started not at 3, it started at 5 p.m. EST. And we had a slew of different people here and there, you know, Jonathan Coachman, Paige, JBL, Sam Roberts, David Otunga, blah, 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 blah. Just lump this all together. Anything that wasn't a match on the pre-show, is there anything that stood out to you guys that was interesting or that you hated or, you know, anything to talk about? I have literally no notes about it.
Jerry Lawler was funny in the sense that, like, he was pulling out some old jokes, and it reminds me of how witty he can be, and yeah, that's about the only note that I had. Everything else is pretty standard.
Pat McAfee was wearing shorts.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
So
we also got Impractical Jokers and the dude that hosts American Ninja Warrior. That was weird.
Wasn't there like a basketball player or something that's out there too? Or
no, that's the dude that hosts American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just shows how much I know about that guy.
It was like Christian and Sam Roberts were like dead set against Kofi Kingston winning the title.
Yeah, that was weird.
What did they say? I don't remember about that.
It was basically saying that Christian was basically saying that if Kofi Kingston had applied himself enough or something to that effect, then he probably would have been a champion by now.
If he had cut his hair when Vince asked him.
Yeah, put the blue dot over the face, you know, all that stuff.
And Edge perfectly chimed in with, wow, as somebody who took 15 years to get a championship match, I would think that you wouldn't be saying that, right?
Sam Roberts is very quickly becoming my least favorite wrestling personality.
Yeah, so, like, I get what they're trying to do with him, but it's annoying. Stop.
What, to try to make him like the Uber Smark?
He's just a gimmick. Yeah, and he's not even a good gimmick.
It's annoying. Stop it, Sam.
But other than that, it wasn't that exciting. It never is. Like, so at least this one had 4 matches to at least break up the flow.
They said history 12 times in the first hour.
Yeah, I thought you were going to carry that on throughout the whole rest of the night.
I tried, but I lost count.
12 times in 2 hours. Not surprised.
No, in 1 hour.
Oh, in the first hour. Not even
in
the second
first
one.
Hour. Yes.
Well, that's making history, isn't it? Most times saying history.
That is. You know what was freaking historic? And I guess we'll get into this in the main event, but Stephanie did not show her face.
Well, Stephanie did not show up. Undertaker didn't show up at all. A lot of people are upset about that. Chuck, I know that you're upset. A lot of people did not show up, and we're going to talk about this match by match, but one of the underwhelming feelings that I have about this WrestleMania was, and I'm going to repeat this phrase throughout the night, but missed opportunity, where I feel like they should have done more to bring something into the mix, you know, like whether it's people that should have been put into the Battle Royals, or somebody should have came out to do something at this spot, or, you know, different things like that. And by the end of the night, like, I don't feel like they needed to have The Undertaker, but I'm looking back on this and I'm like, man, The Undertaker didn't even show up. And it's not like he's passed away where they can't, you know, do anything. Like, he's probably there and you couldn't figure out 2 minutes for him to do something. And, like,
well,
it's just kind of strange.
I'm going to disagree there. I think it's smart to not have The Undertaker there, and if maybe it's time to actually start moving away from The Undertaker. You know, I was surprised that he didn't show, but at the same time, it didn't seem like he was missing.
I mean, I'll give you this. I don't know where you would have put him. Like, if you look at this card and you say, where would you insert The Undertaker? I can't, under any real logical sense, say, like, oh, he should have been in the Battle Royal or something, you know, like. So it's not the biggest thing in the world for me, but it's still just another little thing of just sort of like, oh, that doesn't quite feel like WrestleMania without The Undertaker. And I don't know. Just
speaking of not feeling like WrestleMania, what did you think of the set?
A lot of people hate it. I don't hate it as much as everybody else does, but I can see their point. It's a little bland.
It was lazy.
They're leaning a lot now on the CGI and the alternate reality stuff, which is kind of in their mantra of it's more about the television experience than the live experience.
Except for that pyro.
Oh yeah, well, everyone gets to enjoy the pyro.
Well, the pyro tonight was equal parts great and equal parts. Well, you didn't get that timing right. Yeah.
Mm.
We had remind me later to talk about the helicopters with the main event, because that's something else. But we had helicopters flying around. We had pyro. We had a set that I feel is kind of like the lesser version of what we've had the past couple of years, where they've had like the giant stage, but they didn't really do anything with it. And that's, I don't know, maybe that was their goal, was to not do anything with it. So that's not like gaudy, but yeah. Even the ramp. How'd you guys feel about the whole idea that some of them were showing up like midway through the ramp already? I didn't like that.
You could definitely tell who was important and who wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't really have too many thoughts about it. It's just a set at the end of the day, really.
Which is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously everyone was super excited about how the New Orleans one looked, and it did look fantastic, but it's not really something that catches my eye that much. It's not something that I don't really care about the gaudy surroundings. I'm more interested in just what happens in the ring and the actual like content of the thing, of the show, rather than the things surrounding it.
What do you think of the crowd lighting? I know that there was a specific red lighting on the crowd for the entire night, and Jordan, who was there, said that people at the arena really didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. There was an orange, yellowish kind of light that people were cheering, shut the light off. And supposedly, I don't know, I mean, 100% if this is like planned or not, but my buddy Chuck, who was up there, was complaining about it, and somebody else was complaining about it, and somebody was saying that when they were shutting it off, they were cheering, and when they were turning it back on, everybody was booing. And then it started to seem like they were doing that based off of what was happening in the match to get cheers and boos. So I don't know.
I buy it.
They have precedent for doing this at WrestleMania as well. There has been a case where I can't remember which one it was, where it was 33 or 34 or something along those lines, where they had like just bright light shining into the audience and just obscuring their view of the ring and all that other stuff.
Really dumb.
Remind me to come back to this during the Orton match.
Let's go first match of the night. No surprises here. Cruiserweight Championship match, because that's like the whole entire purpose of 205 Live is apparently just to be the kickoff. Buddy Murphy loses the Cruiserweight title to Tony Nese, the hometown guy, who, I mean, it was fine. There wasn't really anything to it. I thought that this was about like as standard of a match that it can get, and I think that the response that the crowd gave it was pretty much as blah as you can get when it comes to something like that too. Like there really wasn't anything to me.
I felt so bad for Tony Nese, who the entire time, from entrance to match to ending, is going, "Come on! This is my moment!" Pin drop. Like, nobody... Yes, he's the hometown guy, but nobody was giving a fuck, because the arena wasn't even remotely full when they were on, and most were more familiar with Buddy, and Buddy was doing higher impact moves. And again, when you're not familiar with a brand and a superstar's finish, when the dude just hits a running knee to the face and pins you, they're not like expecting a 3 count. So when the 3 count came, they just went, ah.
Oh, so that's the end.
And then this wasn't the only time that this was the one time I noticed it very clear. There was a guy the entire night just like yelling at the wrestlers, telling them, like behind the camera, just, "Nese, smile, smile, Nese." And
I didn't
like,
catch that.
Yeah, there's a guy yelling cues to the wrestlers for the majority of the show. It was odd because it was way too audible.
Is it the same dude that was telling Ronda to hold up the belt?
I think so. And that's another issue I had. Is I think the mics in the ring would have been too loud because I heard a lot during the show.
This match, I think it would have gotten a similar reaction if it was just on an episode of 205 Live. It didn't feel like they were going all out like in the previous like cruiserweight match between they did WrestleMania between Ali and Alexander. That felt like so much more of a bigger deal, even though that still got not negligible reactions, but still the kind of tempered reactions that you associate with the Cruiserweight Championship matches. This one was just, it was even worse, hampered by the fact that nobody gives a fuck about Tony Nese, and Tony Nese won the match, and nobody gave a fuck, as you'd expect, because he's got no charisma, absolutely zero charisma.
But he's got an 8-pack, bud.
He's just like if you gave the Green Man in WWE's like template moveset, and you just gave him all of the high flying moves, and that's it. It's
205 Luger.
Yeah, it's everyone wanted, even though he's the hometown guy, everyone wanted Murphy to win over him, who actually cared about the match at the very least. And yeah, so it's wrong result, and the match is never going to live in memory. So I can't say this was a win in any regard.
I want to steal your line from our chat, but it was hilarious, where when he won, because he's the premier athlete, they said the premier era is starting in 205 Live, and Callum is a brilliant mind, and he says, well, good, maybe they can re-premiere the show and start all over again.
I thought that was pretty good. I wasn't gonna blow my own trumpet though.
I like it. Thumbs up on that. Yeah, I'm not feeling. I mean, way into this, I wasn't feeling the Tony Nese thing anyway, because I don't dislike Tony Nese. I don't want anybody to get that impression. But Tony Nese to me is not the champion. I mean, technically he is right now, but there hasn't been a point where I've ever looked at him and been like, man, that guy needs to win that belt. Whereas some other people, like when Gentleman Jack Gallagher first came in, I was like, this dude should win the title at some point. Drew Gulak, when he started doing the PowerPoint presentation, and eventually when he turned that into being more serious, I want Drew Gulak as champion. And I'm really banking on, I hope that he's the next champion, and I hope that it comes pretty soon. Cedric, Mustafa Ali, a lot of these people, at some point, I've looked at them and been like, I really want to see them as champion. And I haven't felt that about Tony Nese. I would have rather, not in this scenario, but I would have rather even had Arya Daivari win. Like, Nese is pretty low on the 205 Live roster for me. And being the hometown kid doesn't really do anything for me either, because I don't have that connection. And I don't think that you should win titles based off of just being at the location of where you were born or anything either. So this really didn't do anything for me, and I feel like the match itself was kind of blah, and the title reign that we're going to get out of it is going to be blah, and he's not going to work as a babyface, and we're going to look at this as just kind of being a waste. So I hate to be disappointing and pessimistic for anybody who's like a Tony Nese fan, but I can't get on board with it yet. I think you guys kind of are in agreement about that too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then we had the second annual Women's Battle Royal. They did not call it the China Memorial Battle Royal.
That'll be next year.
I think that's one of the first other missed opportunities of the night to me. I mean, that was just sort of something that happened at the Hall of Fame. It wasn't something that they were really pushing weeks ahead of time or anything. But
I heard the Solar Monster on his podcast says that it should be called the Sensational Invitational.
And I like that. I mean, I made a case for it in an article that it should be called the Wendy Richter Battle Royal, and then that they should have inducted Cyndi Lauper, and they could have been a tie-in like that. Like, they have their options, and they want to just go with WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal.
They could have picked loads of people, and the one person they didn't decide on was the worst possible option they could have gone with.
It'll be called the China Memorial next year. They need time to create that statue.
Oh, well, they just had the Fallopian Tube Championship again, so
I'm sure Naomi was. I'm sure Naomi was upset to let that go.
Well, Naomi was one of the few that got an actual entrance in here, and
you know who didn't get an actual entrance? The returning Ember Moon, because fuck life.
Well, that was neat that she was able to actually return. I'm glad to see that she's back in action. Didn't really fucking matter, but you know, it was fuck all when it comes to that. But this was the type of match that when the bell rang, I was just like, wait, that's fucking it. This is all we're getting. Like, there's
I said the same thing as well.
there's Candice LeRae, Kairi Sane, no legends, no other people from NXT.
Not even Kavita Devi.
Ember Moon's the only surprise, really. I mean, Candice and Kairi technically, but no Lacey Evans, no, Victoria or Tori or anything. It was just the people basically that they had announced, and it was as flat and pointless as it really, you could have assumed that it would have been. Because the thing going into this match, the only interesting part is basically who's going to win and what are the surprises going to be. Who wins doesn't matter. We already know that. And the surprises are not there. So this was just, the Riot Squad and Dana Brooke and whatever, and it didn't matter.
I saw a lot of battle royals this weekend because I was trying to watch as many of the indie shows that were going on as well to try and just broaden my horizons a little bit. This definitely wasn't the worst one. It wasn't the best either, but yeah, it was just like you say. There's no surprises, so that element of it's lost. And they did some really weird things early on, like eliminated Candice LeRae and Nikki Cross within a couple of minutes when they're both quite popular, and have Asuka do it as well, which is even more bizarre. And then you had Ember Moon get out pretty quickly as well, with kind of like a nothing situation. Naomi was eliminated really quickly as well.
I think Naomi might have been like number 3. Maria was number 1, if I remember correctly, and Naomi wasn't too far off from her.
Yeah, I think, and her elimination was sloppy as well. I mean,
a lot of it was sloppy.
A lot of it was sloppy, but I'll give them credit on one thing: they got Dana Brooke over.
She was getting cheered quite a bit, and she eliminated 2 of the Riot Squad, which made me happy.
And then she gets eliminated like Deville and Rose in some sort of stupid, convoluted way, and the crowd booed it. So at least I think she's gotten into Heath Slater territory now.
You mean she's going to be starting a band?
Does she have kids?
I think I meant more in the phrase of that she's now a lovable jobber.
Oh, I mean, shit, if at this point she hasn't gotten at least to that point, then there's a problem.
Listen, that's a ceiling that she kind of has to... That's kind of her ceiling at this point.
Yeah.
So, Callum, real quick, which one was the worst Battle Royale you saw all weekend?
Oh, it was either the Honor Rumble, which I thought was an absolute atrocity.
The Honor Rumble was bad.
Or the Greatest Clusterfuck.
They actually call it that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Janelle Spring Break.
That was 60-something people, and it ended in a no finish when a bunch of women interfered and just threw everybody out of the ring.
There you go. They won the women's.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of issues with this match. This match really felt like you could have put it on a 2009 card and it would fit.
Oh, 100%. Not only just in terms of the people that were in it, but the way that they were doing the moves. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, botches in this one and stuff. This was very not even generic. This was worse than generic, and I got real annoyed when I thought that Sarah Logan was going to win.
I thought of you.
And I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me, because I don't hate Sarah Logan. I have nothing against her. I'm sure she's a fine woman and everything, but I was just like, what a goddamn waste. And then when Carmella came in, my first reaction was, oh, thank God. And then I went, wait a minute, fucking Carmella's going to win? And I was like, again, no Lacey Evans, no Bianca Belair, no Shayna Baszler, no... Sable. It would have been something I wouldn't have really cheered for her either, but it still would have been interesting, this was, if you're gonna make it not matter, at least give it to Asuka.
Poor Asuka got dumped like nobody, just like anybody else in the card. I even texted you guys and said I don't want to hear anything about her being a star anytime soon, because fuck, she got treated like shit. And as far as Carmella, to the contrary to what you just said, Tony, where you're born, or at least where you're built from, does matter. Because Carmella and Tony Nese basically won just because of where they're from.
And isn't she from like Boston?
But she's the princess of Staten Island.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
damn right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I know.
kind of one of those things that's kind of funny about that.
Don't get me wrong, let's put it this way, nobody in our predictions put Sarah Logan to win the match. But I'd at least have found that interesting, like where they were going to take it. Like maybe that would lead to Sarah Logan wanting to either take leadership of the Riot Squad and call it the Logan Crew or something along those lines.
Logan's Run.
Yeah, and like maybe it could just lead to some sort of storyline development. But then they did the same exact thing that they did in the Women's Battle Royal last year, which is somebody looked like they had won, and then somebody came from under the ring to say, "Oh no, I actually wasn't eliminated. I just wasn't in the ring at the time."
Well, and they kind of piggybacked off of it a little bit later on too.
Oh yeah, but it's just.
And I was. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, Logan would still not have been a great winner, but at least it would have been interesting. Carmella, like, what the fuck is Carmella gonna do with this? She's not gonna win a title any point in next year. Like, at least with Logan, she probably wouldn't have won the title, but she might have had some interesting character development based off of winning this thing. Carmella's just going to be, as we saw later on in the night, she's still just doing the 7-second dance breaks.
Yeah, but
again,
she's fabulous.
Missed opportunity. You could, like, nobody's making these battle royals at WrestleMania mean nothing other than WWE. They could very easily turn these into things that matter. And it's not hard either. Like, if you want to make this be something, Carmella is not in a good position right now to do it, but maybe the winner gets a title shot, and then maybe it matters. Just the same as anything else would have mattered in the past. Look at the way that King of the Ring used to be. Pretty much everybody that won King of the Ring got a championship title match pretty soon after that, usually at like SummerSlam or so. And this isn't the King of the Ring tournament, but it's supposed to be something that's kind of in the same similar vein to it, you know? Where you win something that's outside of the, championship run sort of field of scope of view or whatever, then you should get something out of it. And what is Carmella going to get out of it? Nothing. She has her name down on a trophy that everybody makes fun of. So, missed opportunity in a lot of different ways. Just kind of blah. Let's see what we had. Third match on the pre-show was the Raw Tag Team Championship. The Revival losing the championships to Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Really happy that the titles changed hands, even though it's at the expense of the Revival, which I wish that they were much, much better off. But it's still really cool. I am glad that Hawkins got the pin. I'm glad that the streak is over. And it's not over just because he beat, I don't know, No Way Jose on main event or something like that. Because that would have been a real disappointment if he's losing 269 matches and then he just happens to beat Primo or something. And even though I kind of don't feel the connection when it comes to Tony Nese and Carmella with the whole New York thing, I think that Hawkins and Ryder, it made more sense.
Listen, I'm a total mark for fucking Hawkins and Ryder. And I'm so glad that they were able to have this moment. Even if, just like last time Zack got a championship, they lose it tomorrow. I'm glad that they had this moment.
Well, before you say anything, Callum, I want to go on that kind of regard here and get everybody's opinion. What are the chances that they lose it tomorrow night? And if you think that that's happening, who do you think they're losing it to?
If it does happen, it would be if the Authors of Pain are healthy again, and they would drop it to them.
Where are you thinking, Rob?
I'm thinking right back to the Revival.
Well, that's where we're all going different directions. I think they're losing to the Undisputed Era.
I have a different idea for them.
But in terms of the actual match, I'm pleased with the result. I'm pleased with the match. I thought the match was good. It was given a decent amount of time to actually tell a story and build up the idea of them toying around with Hawkins to start with, and then getting Ryder in and Ryder taking all the punishment, so Hawkins has to be the one that makes the comeback. And yeah, I thought it was a well-told story. like the brainbuster on the outside, and Hawkins is pretty much dead, and he ends up just essentially waking up and rolling up Dawson for the victory. The only issue I have with this match is the fact that it wasn't built too properly. But
or at all.
Oh yeah, obviously at all. But it's just a case of like, outside of that thing, it was a good moment and it's a good match. Like I don't think the Revival definitely deserve better, but I don't think that Dawson and Wilder really care if they're the champions or not. They just care if they're wrestling good matches and getting a bit of exposure, and like the tag team division is looking strong. That's kind of their probably biggest concern. And I thought this match would be a fitting way for them to lose the titles.
You know,
I get the feeling more so that the Revival are perfectly fine with dropping the titles to them. Like, they probably are like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool. And it's just a shame that it's like, well, their title reign was they feuded with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and they barely got any kind of entrances on the past 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lose in a match that wasn't built up. You know, like, that's the disappointing thing.
And I know we're not talking Hall of Fame, but shout out to Dash Wilder.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
He should have done an uppercut in this match.
That was
just as a spot to call back to it. That would have been fun. But yeah, at least they got plenty of time to perform, even if it was on the pre-show.
Yeah. The fourth match on the pre-show was the 6th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which, again, no surprise entrance. No legends, no NXT people. I didn't catch a single NXT person. Was there somebody in there, or was it nobody?
No.
Yeah, not a single one, which is just
Hawk was in it.
Yeah, he's not NXT, but that was the only surprise. It's Harper, and I gotta say, even though it's a stupid nitpicking thing, he's literally just the same as he was before. Like, they didn't take the opportunity to, I don't know, change up his look at all. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think the Harper and Rowan are weird in that they want so badly to utilize them in a big way, but then they keep going back to the same thing with them, and it never works.
It's just like, you guys are great. Can you do the Wyatt family? And then it's like, you mean the thing that we've been doing for 8 years or whatever the fuck? And be like, yeah, how about that? And then it's like, well, what's the difference from before? Well, the difference is this time you don't have the Wyatt family. Well, we did that twice already. Well, I don't know, wear a black fucking shirt. I wanted the Harper to come back as something different, and this was disappointing for that, but
I love this. I'll go first. I loved this Battle Royal. This was a complete showcase for Strowman, as it should have been. There was nothing stupid where the Saturday Night Live guys eliminate him. He eliminates them. Colin Jost brought out his therapist, which you have more details on, Tony, but I belly laughed at that because, I don't know, I guess I have childish humor, but I thought that was the funniest thing. Wait, we can solve our problems through other means. I brought my therapist.
That
funny.
Therapist, for anybody who doesn't know, is someone who has worked a lot through the Northeast kind of system, including OTW, who is Ike Phillips. So if you were interested in finding out any more about him, Ike goes through the OTW system quite a bit. He wrestles Northeast Wrestling and D2W and different things like that. And since Dace and I are familiar with him, we're sitting there and we're going, that guy looks a lot like Ike. That guy looks a lot like Ike. That guy's Ike. And then we're like, what the fuck? So I hopped on his Facebook, and one person had been like, yo! And then I was just like, dude! Like, what the fuck? So, hey, shout out to Ike. Good job there, pal.
Braun Strowman looks phenomenal. He took his usual tank top off, and he looked great. And this was great, and I hope maybe he can have a great 2019.
Yeah, this was the first time he wasn't wearing that singlet kind of looking undershirt with the cut off right about his nipples. So that was something that was a positive for him to just be like, yeah, let me stitch that. It looks really stupid. People in the match that didn't really do anything all that much special. I mean, I don't have a list of everybody that was in there, so it's kind of hard to remember specifics, but I did like how Strowman was just kind of tossing pretty much everybody around because I like Strowman, so that's cool. And yeah, did anybody do anything crazy? I'm blanking
Andrade
on.
eliminated himself.
Oh, I like that.
Andrade did some cool eliminations. Like, he eliminated Kalisto with a monkey flip. Then he did some sort of like acrobatic elimination of Gable as well.
The Gable one stood out to me.
The Matt Hardy looked great. Like, he looked in pretty awesome shape for his age, especially with how he used to look. Because they were wearing sort of like old style Hardy attire. But obviously, Jeff Hardy was still wearing the face paint and stuff. The one elimination that really stood out to me was the Braun Big Boot on Luke Harper when he had Mustafa Ali up for a suplex, because Ali just goes right on his head, like lands straight down on the just the floor. That looked absolutely hideous to take. Colin Jost wearing a Odell Beckham Cleveland Browns t-shirt.
That was funny.
He's an awesome heel, and if he ever did learn to wrestle, he would be should be right at the top, or he should come in as a manager, because he is really good at getting heat for himself. Then one of the really early eliminations that just I know it shouldn't catch my eye, but it does now, is the EC3. Just was thrown out within a matter of seconds. Just okay, I guess everyone who thought that maybe this would be the turning point for him, he's on the same tier as Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because that guy, I mean, the way that they're treating him, he might as well sign his AEW check already.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Also, Apollo Crews lasted very long into this match. I don't recall him doing a single thing until he got eliminated.
No, he just kind of was there.
Yeah. And then the Braun elimination, I'm happy when it did get down to because they did the great tease of them coming into the ring while the Hardys were dealing with Strowman as well, and they were going to eliminate him. And they even did a tease afterwards that Jost was going to eliminate him all on his own. But it's at least good that they decided to give the win to somebody who might actually get pushed off the back of this. Especially considering how he looks now. Like, he looks like somebody who knows that he's getting a push after WrestleMania.
I thought it was weird that the Hardy Boys were out there for 6 minutes and nobody else got their entrance.
Yeah, it was.
I don't understand what the logic was of, okay, we're going to cut back to the panel here. It's like, well, what's the point? Because they're not going to say anything interesting. And even if they were saying anything interesting, you can't hear them because the Hardy Boys music is playing over the top of them.
And why not just, if you're going to have people do that and you're just waiting until the next person comes out and it's Braun, why not then run all the other entrances and make it to where it's I don't know, whoever the fuck, General Hall and whatever, they could have just had them running through and as we're talking to you guys, more and more people are filling into the ring, and now the big one's gonna come out, so we're gonna cut back Braun Strowman, it's just a very strange, I don't know if that was Kevin Dunn call or if that was some kind of a, they didn't even think about it, but missed opportunity.
I think the wrestlers should have been doing something in the ring while that was happening. They should have just gotten into a circle and done the can or something. Just because they're all just standing around there, just we're about to all beat each other up and stuff like that. But now we're just standing in the middle for 6 minutes, just having a few conversations with each other and stuff like that. It's just
the weird thing was that Jost and Che were in the ring already, and I'm like, what are they thinking? As No Way Jose and EC3 are just mocking the Hardy Boys dance because the song plays for 7 minutes. Very strange choice there.
Yeah, to echo the missed opportunity thing, I think that's something that if they could think back on that and really just kind of go man, we could have saved a couple more minutes if we would have just kind of had those people come out during that time. Very strange. I don't think I have anything else to say about the Battle Royal, but is there anything else you guys want to chime in on?
Nah, it was a much better Battle Royal than the women's one. But other than
that wasn't hard though.
Yeah, but other than that, it's it was just the big star of the match won, so good for him.
Disappointing that there's no other people in there. You didn't put Babatunde, like just like
It would be funny if Lars Sullivan was supposed to come out, but he got stage fright and didn't come out. It's like he just like froze before coming out.
yeah, no R-Truth in there either.
No Kevin Owens either.
No Kevin Owens the whole fucking night.
Yeah, but I think that's smart because if you're not going to use them properly, just fucking wait.
That's so like I don't know. I'm gonna reference it later on, but he should have fought Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah, but it's just a case of like we know what he was supposed to be doing at WrestleMania, and something just got in the way of that. So they clearly didn't think of an alternative for him.
Nah, it's just a shame. I hope that they give him something soon. Like, I mean, not to jump the gun a little too much, but I hope that he wins the United States title and he just kind of balance it out a little bit. I don't know. But that was the pre-show. And we went into a video package, which I think everybody kind of had the same impression, where everybody's like, this is a pretty good video package. Oh, wait, why are they rapping?
Yep. I was so into that package, and then the rap music started, and I'm like, they can't help themselves.
I didn't mind the rap music. The thing I minded about it was them rapping along with it, like mouthing along with the words. That was the annoying thing about it. But other than that, it was a really good video package to open the show.
Not as good as the SummerSlam one. The Terry Crews one, I like that a lot.
But
it wasn't the best of both worlds.
Or the celebration of life.
Yolanda Adams sang America the Beautiful. I thought that it was just sort of whatever. Nothing really to that one.
Helicopters flew.
Bunch of helicopters, which a little bit awkward, kind of mistimed. First off, isn't it usually jets that fly over instead of helicopters that just kind of like lazily hover for about 2 minutes? And then like, well, let's just wait until they go away and then we'll do pyro afterward. Like, I don't know. That whoever planned that out, don't plan out any more of these things. That wasn't good.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Well, it wasn't the only time we saw helicopters either. And our host, Alexa Bliss, comes out and she says that if she snaps her fingers, she can have a WrestleMania moment at any time. And out comes Hulk Hogan, who, credit where it's due, he says, I'm so happy to be here in the Silver Dome. And I was like, all right, that's funny.
And
but then he fucks it up.
The
Then he calls it MetLife Center, and it's like, God damn it.
Yeah. I thought this was quite an interesting one to bring out on the night that you were going to crown your first Black World Champion.
Hey, at least he didn't come out during that,
Yeah. But
you know what? I really thought that they were going to open with that because he's going, I have just one question for you. And I thought he was going to go, what you going to do when Kofi Mania runs wild on you and cue Kofi? But no. We get him posing with Alexa, which I thought was adorable. Because Alexa's, like, tiny and doing the whole Hulk Hogan pose. I thought that was great. And
yeah,
then...
she kind of is like when they go to like the reading challenge thing and there's like little kids posing with John Cena. There's like one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alex had to pretend that she knew who Hulk Hogan was, and
yeah, exactly. And then out comes Paul Heyman.
Wouldn't that be great? This is a random side note, but wouldn't that be great if she was the type that had like, I mean, it used to be back in the day that they would get women in particular, but a lot of men too, that just did not have any experience with wrestling before, and she's been around long enough that she knows the kind of stuff, but like, they could have gotten like a Dawn Marie or whatever back in the day to be like, oh, it's great, I'm standing here with Macho Man Mr. Perfect. Like, it's one of those types. She had the poses down and all that, so
she was having fun.
Yeah. And then out comes barreling to the stage, through the stage, Paul Heyman, who says perhaps the most honest thing in the entire night, which was, well, if we're not the main event, we're not sticking around all fucking night. Which is like, wow, that had to have been like an actual thing with Brock. How do you guys feel about that?
All right. I need to say this as loudly and clearly as I possibly can for all of the marks out there that are listening to this. It's a storyline. Brock would have stayed as long as he needed to because he's a professional. He does what he does because he gets paid a good amount of money and he puts on a show. he's not as big of a dick. He's a dick, but he's not as big of a dick as people think he is because that's how he's booked. It's a character. Just wanted to get that out there and say it in as clear as language as possible because some people just can't seem to get this.
And I thought that it was a little silly for Heyman to say it because it's not like Brock is always the main event. You know, Brock and Goldberg didn't headline. Brock and Ambrose didn't have. You know what I mean? Like, it seemed weird that that's what they chose to go with, but I thought it was good because it opened the show really hot.
It makes perfect sense, though. It goes with exactly what the character would be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know you guys go along, but some people just go by the assumption of, oh, yeah, this is Brock's doing. Brock probably got pissed behind the scenes like a couple of minutes before and says, oh, we're not actually going on this slot. We're going to go on this one. But
no,
in terms of the actual character and the way that Heyman just presented it as like, well, we assumed that we were going to be the main event, but if we're not main eventing this show, then let's just get it fucking over with and let's go to Las Vegas where we're actually appreciated.
Ultimately, because UFC.
But yeah,
that's a really good touch though, because that's exactly what I mean. Look, I mean I don't know the guy, but I read that Brock Lesnar, personality-wise, he reads to me as kind of a dick.
Oh yes, yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they would have had some kind of a conversation like that, but to a much lesser degree than an actual like, I'm stomping my foot down and I'm doing that. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Brock even thought that kind of a thing of just being like, I don't really want to stick around. I don't care, you know, like that.
Well, listen,
my job is to do
have
this.
to stick around.
We know what would have been a good touch about it is if Lesnar just come out and his music wasn't ready when he came out. Because it's just like, then you get the sort of impression that it was completely unplanned and he just wanted to come out at the time that he wanted to come out. So you could have had him like halfway down the ramp and then his music starts playing because they finally got their act together or whatever.
That would have been cool. Maybe it would have been the guy that really, really liked the opening note for Roman Reigns' theme. He could have just done it, you know? I did not see this coming as the first match of the night, so I was surprised about that. And as much as I had crapped on the idea that, well, Brock Lesnar's clearly just going to fucking retain, and that's going to be the end of it, or whatever, Seth Rollins wins the title. He does it through dubious means. He hits a low blow and all that, but that kind of piggybacked off of what they had done previously, so it's not the end of the world. And look, we all knew that if Brock was going to lose the title, which I didn't even think was going to happen, then of course he wasn't just going to lose it clean because he's Brock fucking Lesnar, and that's the way that things happen. So yeah, I mean, I did not like the match, really. Like, it's nothing. I don't remember a goddamn thing that happened other than a low blow and 3 stomps. Literally, I don't remember a single thing else. So
he beat the fuck out of Seth. Like Seth's back had like lashes and welts on it. I thought it was, and I said this, I thought you got the best possible Brock Lesnar match you could get because he attacks him early on. He does the Suplex City stuff. He's even into it and says the whole, you know, Suplex City bitches. He was feeling it. And then I had said this right before the bell rang. I said, dick kick, curb stomp, 1, 2, 3. And it took a while, but they did knock the referee out. And yeah, low blow. It took 3 stomps, but they got the job done. And yeah, it was quick, but it was exactly what it needed to be. You know? We didn't need to see 6 F5s. It didn't need to go on for 20 minutes. Seth Rollins won the title, and I'm sure they'll get something out of Brock at Saudi Arabia, or maybe even at SummerSlam. But honestly, I'm just glad that Seth Rollins won the match.
See, I'm not even glad that Seth Rollins won the match. I'm just glad that Brock Lesnar isn't champion. I'm not like at all like, wow, man, Seth Rollins is the champion. This is great. I'm just like, oh, thank God Brock Lesnar's not the champion. This could have been, I mean, they could have given it to Apollo Crews and I would be happy. Like, it kind of sounds like I really hate Apollo Crews, but that's not the case. It was the first name that popped in my mind. Like, really, they could have given it to pretty much anybody and I would have been like, this is a highlight. We don't have Brock as champion anymore. Thank God. It took 2.5 years or whatever.
I really enjoyed the match. I love Lesnar matches against smaller guys. They constantly work. He's like an absolute animal in terms of like just throwing him all over the announce tables, smashing him through one of the like announce table covers was a nice touch. Rollins was willing to take a lot of big bumps for this match, which I appreciate, but obviously I don't want him doing that too often because it looked like it fucking sucked. I feel bad for Carsten Schaefer being like having Rollins just essentially launched into him at some point during the match. But yeah, you get all the German suplexes, crowd is into that side of things, and then yeah, like you say, just a free curb stomp and it's over. I think based on the way the match went and Brock's face after the match, that this isn't the last time these two are going to fight for the Universal Championship.
I fucking hope it is, because I don't really want to see it anymore.
Well, I think this is either your match at Saudi Arabia, or we could even get this match on Raw.
You think we get it tomorrow night?
We could.
So I'm gonna spoil one of the ideas that I got for the Undisputed Era. Now that Rollins is champion, and Roman, spoiler for later, Roman won. You could do a thing tomorrow night where you're like, yeah, I did it. I conquered the beast. And Ambrose is here one final time. We did it, guys. Shock the system. Undisputed Era runs through the Shield. And we get that going forward. On Raw, at least.
Possibility. Wouldn't rule that out.
I think, well, personally, I think it's more likely that Rollins comes out and he's celebrating, and Reigns comes out and says, "Hey, I won my match last night. I know a cool idea. Why don't we fight for the championship?"
Well,
and then we head down that road.
The only reason I don't think we're getting that is because Reigns keeps saying, "Yeah, I want to wait till next year. I want to wait till WrestleMania."
Where is he saying that?
He's been saying that on interviews recently because they're doing the media blitz. And
it's not what he wants though. It's what Vince wants, and it's along the lines of, there's an easy story to tell here with Rollins saying, "Well, he never lost the championship, so it's only right that he gets the first shot at my title."
I mean, we could go get kind of both. It could be like Rollins is doing some kind of celebration, and he's got Roman Reigns out. They're like, we're going to celebrate the fact that we've got this in, back in a champion's hands that's actually going to defend it, and I can think of nobody better to challenge me than Roman Reigns, and then that's our main event on Monday Night Raw, and then they get attacked by the Undisputed Era. Like, they could do both.
Oh, yeah.
I'm leaning a little bit more towards the idea that it's just Seth Rollins celebrating, and there's really not anything to it.
This is the first time they plugged like Raw on commentary. I think it was during the main event where they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, tomorrow night it's the Raw after Mania, and that's gonna be amazing and blow your mind." And I'm like, yeah, I think you're plugging it too hard now, because what if you don't do anything?
Oh, I hope that they do have some things that are special, because I kind of sort of feel like maybe they didn't do as much tonight because they wanted to spread it out a little bit. And I don't know, if they don't, then we'll see. But yeah, nothing about this match. I probably honestly should go back and rewatch it because I just don't remember a damn thing about it. And I'm just happy that Brock's not the champion anymore. So this better not be the type of thing that like Rollins has like a month and a half long title reign, drops it back in fucking Saudi Arabia to Brock, and then we start this all over again, because then you're going to hear the same crap again from me, because I just don't like Brock as champion. And, whatever. We'll see. And after that, we went to AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, which we had talked about this ahead of time, of being a match that could be kind of hindered by a lack of time. And thankfully, they had enough time here. They had about 16 minutes. And I thought they had a damn good match. Not the best in the world, but, I
think it was hindered by the position on the card. Because the crowd was really weird throughout this show. And after being super hot for Rollins, they really came down. And I don't know if it was like the lighting situation, but they were into something other than this match. And it really showed. And the match itself was really good, I thought. And Orton and AJ tried hard, but the crowd kind of took me out of it personally.
This is a match it's one of those ones which is very well wrestled, and you can tell that it's very well wrestled, but it doesn't grip you. It doesn't like give you that sort of feeling, and like add that added emphasis, basically making you not so much lose yourself in the match, but feel like, oh well, this is really getting somewhere. This is really something special. It just felt like two guys that know what they're doing really well, just going out there and not so much going through the motions, but just doing things on instinct almost. Just like, okay, this is what we do next, and this is what we've got planned next, and all that other stuff, and even not reading the crowd or just not doing anything that really captured their attention enough.
I'm going to repeat something I had said about the predictions for this and see if you guys changed your mind. Do you think this would have been better? Obviously, the logistics behind it doesn't work, but do you think this would have been better if Styles and Orton would have been fighting for the Intercontinental Championship and we didn't have Balor and Lashley and they gave him an extra 5 minutes?
No.
No.
Because I think the match itself was fine. It's just the reaction to it didn't give it the extra level it needed.
Yeah, I thought the feud building this up was fantastic, and I was really looking forward to the match, and I just think it was disappointing. It wasn't bad. Like I say, it wasn't bad. It was, like I say, it was very well wrestled. But Orton has the habit of doing very well wrestled matches that don't get me excited.
I know what you mean.
This was the first of way too many. And introducing your special guest commentator, Jerry Lawler. So there's a lot of people on commentary on this show, but Jerry Lawler did the commentary here, and he was phenomenal. He said,
he was good. Yeah, he was good.
He said, yeah, people keep saying Randy's father made him a star here. I got news for you. Randy is an only child, and he still wasn't his father's favorite. And then later on in the match, he says, and going back to Randy and his dad, Randy threatened to run away from home, and his dad said, "Good, put it in writing." And that kind of wittiness, which you don't get anymore, I laugh so hard. Like, you don't get that on commentary anymore.
It's very strange that they picked certain people to do the commentary like that, because there's nothing inherently tied between Styles, Orton, and Lawler.
Well, Lawler did mention on commentary that the final match he ever had in WWE, he was teaming with Randy Orton.
So man, that's a stretch.
Well, it's still a link. It's closer than, I don't know, JBL.
Yeah.
JBL being on.
That was another strange one. The only one that made any sense was Shawn Michaels.
And
there's even like Paige with the women's tag titles. Like the very first question they put out to her was, "Why they didn't have women's tag titles when you were around?" And she's like, "I know." So it's like
no. The very first question they put out to her was, "So who do you think is going to win this women's tag title match?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm so excited for Becky Lynch."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But in terms of the Shawn Michaels one, although that made sense, I kind of wish it hadn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but we'll get on to that later.
He wasn't great on that.
No.
Speaking of things that don't need to happen, Lacey Evans comes out, does her fucking pointless entrance. Again, what's the point?
So she couldn't even been in the Battle Royal.
She couldn't be in the Battle Royal. She couldn't be interrupting somebody where like it could lead to something where at least like it's like a pop. Instead, it's just like, and remember, we have Lacey Evans.
Tony, she doesn't know how to get in the ring. Please bear with her.
Well, she wouldn't be the only one tonight that doesn't know how to get in the fucking ring.
Do you think that she's been told her end game?
No.
Do you think she knows why she's doing this?
No, I 100% guarantee she doesn't.
They added the word sexy to her tagline.
Oh, I thought he was just saying sassy and just made it like wrong.
Yeah, it's sassy.
Somebody
sassy
called her
Southern Belle.
I swear the guy said the sexy Southern Belle.
It's definitely sassy because I think I remember an episode of Raw or whatever when Corey Graves called her the sexy Southern Belle, and Michael Cole immediately goes, "Well, actually, Corey, it's the sassy Southern Belle," just because he needs to brand everything. Michael Cole fucking sucks on this entire show. I absolutely hated him. Like, especially by the end of it, because his voice is going horrible as well. So it's like, just crawl away to whatever Cole birthed you. Yeah, he was
Pulling a Nikki Bella here, the woo.
like, yeah, it was, like he's usually bad, but it's just a case of like it's 7 hours long show, and by the end of it, he can't speak properly, and that would typically be a good thing, but he actually like tries to still speak, and so it's just like that really croaky, like, oh my god, I think something's about to happen. I can't do it because I'm not a dick, but it's like just like it's that sort of level for me.
This is just the Evans thing to me is very indicative of my problem with this WrestleMania, which was, hey, we could do this and that, but instead, nah. Like, I really want to know, like, and this is where I want somebody like a Bruce Pritchard to come in and kind of explain things. I really want to know who, other than Vince, because this has to be a Vince thing, who thinks that this actually is going somewhere and actually is working, because I don't see anybody at all looking at Lacey Evans and going, boo, I fucking hate her, and I can't wait to see her get her ass beat. It seems like everybody, the only two reactions are, I don't fucking care, or that's it, that's all she's doing.
I think they're just holding her over till the shakeup.
This screams Emelina to me.
Yeah, it does.
Ugh.
It's the same damn thing. It's just, let's have somebody go out there once or twice a week to remind you that they exist.
And you know how it's going to end. She's just going to have a match.
Yeah, she's just going to have a match on Raw.
Yeah.
And she's going to beat, I don't know, Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke. Yes.
And then they're going to go, well, we've been seeing a lot of Lacey Evans, and it looks like she's got a bright future ahead of her. Tune in next week, and she'll do the same again and beat Nikki Cross. You know, it's just... And it'll be 3 months of watching this build up to absolutely nothing, where they could have just kept her. She did literally nothing on Monday Night Raw or on SmackDown or on any pay-per-view except wrestle on the Royal Rumble. Outside of that, she has not been a factor. So why couldn't she have just been a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, and they could have just waited? Don't bring people up to the main roster without an idea for them.
Because they panicked. Remember, the only reason that they're even on the main roster is because they panicked.
They figured that they were running into a spot where nobody had anything positive to say about WWE, and they dangled 5 carrots in front of everybody, and then everybody lost their shit and thought that the Heavy Machinery is going to win the next tag titles, and EC3 was going to be the fucking two-time world champion and whatever. And people like us were sitting there talking on the podcast about how none of this is going to matter. And here we are 4 months later, and none of it's fucking mattered.
No, well, here's the mistake that they made. They got this group of people together that weren't going anywhere on NXT, so it seemed like, okay, this makes sense, because they don't really have any established things. And then they were like, yeah, remember those 5 guys? Fuck that. Here's Aleister Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. And unfortunately, because of Tommaso's injury, he and Gargano didn't stay on the main roster, but Ricochet and Black have been doing okay. You know?
Well, that's a good transition to talk about Aleister Black and Ricochet in the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Also in that match were the Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura team, the team of The Bar, and the champions, the Usos, who retained the titles. They pinned Sheamus. I don't know if it was Jimmy or Jake, because I still can't tell them apart. And it was fine. A little bit of a mess, but I didn't hate it, didn't love it. Again, I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity that they could have given it to Black and Ricochet, who now lost 3 tag team title matches in 1 week. But hey, at least they didn't give it on, put the belts on Nakamura and Rusev, right?
Well, that was my pick, so I'm most sad about that, don't I? But I think when logic kicked in during the Battle Royal, I said, wait, put Rusev and Nakamura in the Battle Royal and put the fucking Hardy Boys in the tag match. That would have made it
a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. I really liked it. You know, it was a good, like, buffer match. Sheamus and Cesaro had this really cool spot where Sheamus just about gave everybody the 10 beats of the bell run, all while Cesaro swung Ricochet continuously. And I thought it was a pretty fun match. I feel bad for Nakamura, who fell off completely. And I genuinely believe Rusev and Lana don't care. And yeah, good for the Usos. They won a tag match again.
Yeah, I thought it was a good fatal 4-way match. I think nothing amazingly special, but there was a few like decent spots. Ricochet doing that head scissors spinning thing on Cesaro. You kind of think Cesaro's the only guy that can keep somebody in the air that long and at that rate of speed. Cesaro doing the swing obviously was great.
That was a long swing.
Yeah, that was like a minute and a half long swing. So that was pretty awesome. Tower of Doom spot. I think what was meant to happen was Ricochet was meant to land just right on his feet, but he
rolled through.
Yeah, over rotated a bit, so he just rolled through. But it still looked good. Everybody
and he didn't get injured too. That's the most important thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone dived in at the same time to break up that 630 pin on Ricochet. So it's like you see 6 bodies just go straight for Ricochet. I thought that was pretty fun. And then obviously the Usos win with a double splash. I mean, I'm happy for the Usos, but it's just a case of where does it really go from here? But it's a tag team division, so no one gives a fuck anyway. So like, it's like, oh, they retained championship. I wonder who they're going to fight next. And it's like, well, we don't know, and the guys backstage don't know. So let's just wait.
Yeah, who they're going to defend it against next?
We'll
Day. Find out after the Superstar Shakeup, everybody.
Hate you.
That's what it is. It's exactly what it is.
They should have the match. Well, if it's not the Superstar Shakeup, I mean, it probably will be. But if it's not, then they should just have the match with the Hardy Boys at the next show. Just the one-on-one tag match.
Could happen. The next pay-per-view, for anybody who's wondering, is Money in the Bank. So there's nothing that inherently pushed them in like any certain spot. It's not like the Usos are... Unless they do something, I mean, they maybe could, and this is getting well ahead of the game here, but they maybe could do like a tag team Money in the Bank match or something like that. You never know. We'll see. But then we technically had the Hall of Fame parade. And this was the point in the night where throughout the whole time leading up to this, our connection at Nese's kept crapping out on us. Were you guys having any kind of issues with the network?
Not tonight, I wasn't.
I had it during the WWE Championship match, which fucking infuriated me. Twice it cut off during the match, and so I was just desperately trying to get it back on. But that was the only time that it cut out for me.
Leading up to this, we had multiple times where it froze for about like 10 seconds and all that. So we had realized actually that the match, that the Lesnar match had ended well before we actually had like seen it. So we were trying to catch up and we didn't want to miss any of the matches and stuff. And as soon as they started doing the Hall of Fame thing, we were like, all right, like now is our time to jump ahead. And we started we went to like reload everything pretty much at the start of the Hall of Fame like video package. And by the time that we got into there, it was DX's entrance. So I missed the whole like actual Hall of Fame, like, you know, we're introducing again Brutus the Barber Beefcake and all that. So did I miss anything funny or interesting?
They did a cool thing where Sue Aitchison came out with John Cena's 600th Make-A-Wish Kid, and then DX came out right after that, and I just laughed because like, here's this beautiful thing, and suck it, suck dicks, yeah.
I don't think there was anything particularly special. I think nothing could really top what actually happened at the Hall of Fame. At least Brett could just stand there knowing that he's probably pretty safe high up there in the ramp. It would probably have taken a bit of a monumental effort for fans to get up there and do what they did.
Fuck
that
Brutus,
guy.
Fuck that guy.
Brutus do his strut?
No, Brutus, I feel like whatever energy he had, the little bits of it, was exerted in the Hall of Fame because he barely moved.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's for the right reasons.
Tori looked great.
Nah, that's no surprise.
But
Brutus looks great.
With the DX entrance and stuff like that, and them all coming out, I liked it in this regards of they looked like they were just interacting with everyone else on stage, and you usually get a very like sterile thing on the Hall of Fame where it's just like the guy standing in the middle, or the guy, the girl, whoever's the main event person, just standing in the middle. Their entrance come out, and then everyone just stands and waves. Whereas like X-Pac and Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were just having as much fun as they possibly could have, just interacting with everyone on stage.
Yeah, X-Pac wasn't even like getting in the shot for the picture.
That was hysterical.
I saw that.
Like, you just see Triple H. All right, where's X-Pac? Still not coming. He finally just has to like wave, like, get over here. We
Get
gotta
the
move.
fuck over here, Sean. Like, and you could see him being like, sorry.
I saw him wrestling at WrestleCon because he was he had a match with he teamed with the Hurricane and
Liger, right?
Liger. He had Jushin Liger against just like 3 indie guys.
Earlier today?
No, it was on was it Friday? Was
Friday?
Yeah, Friday was WrestleCon. So he was wrestling on Friday, and then he was obviously at the Hall of Fame on Saturday, and then out here today. So
hell of a weekend.
Yeah, he's had a pretty busy weekend. But I felt quite like sad that China couldn't have been there. But that was the first time it kind of hit me that obviously, and obviously because China's been gone for a couple of years now, but it's just a case of her just not being there, and everyone else was having a lot of fun. And you could tell they were honouring her as best they possibly could by referencing her picture on the screen and stuff along those lines. But it just felt a little empty because of that.
Yeah, I would agree.
We will talk about Hall of Fame itself, the ceremony, a little bit later this week. There's just way too many podcasts and stuff, so sorry, everybody. We had the Falls Count Anywhere match, Shane McMahon versus The Miz, which
was fucking great.
I was about to say I was disappointed.
What?
I was not into this match. I feel like they didn't do much at all, and they waited for one thing, and that one thing was stupid. It's just like
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't. I can see why you'd have that opinion. Like, I'm not gonna say it was like a massive, super success. It felt like I like the fact that it's different compared to everything else that we saw on the show. It had that edge to it because you were just having a lot of brawling in the crowd. Shane taking that bump for that monitor to the chest is
that was the best
hilarious.
Part. That was easily the best part of the night, and that was not planned.
I mean, it's hilarious and it's fucking scary because he like lands that thing and then he drops it out 8 feet to the concrete.
Yeah, and he seemed hurt too.
You watch this and you think, yeah, Shane is going to die in a wrestling ring at some point in his life. And it's upsetting. You have to just hope that somebody forces him to retire before he actually dies in the ring. But other than the rest of the stuff, like Mrs. Dad getting involved, just a bit of like the soap opera bullshit that you usually associate with McMahon matches at WrestleMania. Then you have Miz going all action hero, just beating Shane McMahon as badly as possible. I mean, the one thing I didn't enjoy about that sort of like the beat up of the Miz and Shane is the fact that Shane kept kicking out of covers. It's like, hang on, you're supposed to be the heel, and this guy's literally beating you to within an inch of your life, and you keep kicking out. It's like, that's not what you should be doing. Miz should just be refusing to pin you because he wants to beat you up more.
But, Callum, you're forgetting.
He's the best in the world.
Yeah, damn right he is.
And he had to prove it over and over again. Like, you hit a Skull Crusher finale on the stage area, wooden planks and stuff like that, and he no-sells your finisher, essentially, by just kicking out of it. And then, obviously, you lead to, like, the big spot at the end, which is a cool spot. I know.
To me, it's...
Hold on, now, because I actually really like the match. I'll tell you why. First of all, you went with the Mrs. Dad really early on, and I thought it was hysterical that the man, who I guess knew that Kofi had things under control, decided to try to save the Miz from Shane crashing through him, and got in the ring with Shane McMahon and didn't know how to put his fists up. I thought that was hysterical. That like Shane was like, no, you should probably put your fists up like this, and it's just a funny visual. I think it'll be a great meme. And then he gets his ass kicked by Shane, which causes Miz to become a super babyface. And then they actually had a false count anywhere match where like they went to different spots in the arena, and yeah, Miz took a scary Shane took a scary bump on a golf cart roof and then toppled to the floor. And after that, he was really selling his leg, and I couldn't tell if like it was just for the purpose of the show or if like he legit tweaked his knee or something.
Well, he
But
was
after
getting
that,
he was getting the leg attacked by Miz throughout the match. So
oh.
I think he was just selling that, and he was doing a very good job selling it.
I was concerned because, as you just said, like you're worried that either retire soon or you're gonna die in a ring. And I enjoy Shane matches, and I enjoyed this because they hit the suplex, which was awesome to me anyway. Just because, again, you don't see stuff like that anymore. And then I realized, wait, Shane's on top of him, and sure enough, that's how he won.
I will say I liked how that was the way that Shane won. I like that little touch, but it's so dumb to me that this is like, we're going into this match, everybody has the same opinion. It's, well, Shane McMahon matches aren't the best in the world, but if he takes a bump, then that's going to be fun. And the bump is a vertical suplex onto a giant crash pad. You can't have them do more dangerous stuff. I'm not expecting them to, jump off the top of the stage and land on a pile of spikes. But the crash pad just looked so lame to me. It was like you might as well have video footage of like backyard wrestling of two kids jumping on a trampoline.
It wasn't very well covered up.
No, they could have figured out a better angle for it. They could have put a thin layer of something to break. That would have been like, an extremely thin layer of particle board where it looks like they went through something. Instead, it's just two giant crash pads. It's the equivalent of me and a friend of mine when we're 9 years old jumping around the Discovery Zone or something. Like, I think I had written in either the Bleacher Report article or Smark on them, and I put something about there about like, this looked about as dangerous as two people jumping in a pool. Like, it just was not impressive to me. And I know that some people maybe at the end of the year are going to be like, this is one of the best spots of the year. And I'm like, no, this doesn't even come. I don't even think that it was. It would have been better if this match would have ended without that. I would have been more happier probably if it would have ended with a skull crushing finale off the thing, or I don't know, something. Didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair in terms of like the final spot being a bit of a letdown, but I think the rest of the match was enough of a unique style brawl compared to everything else in everything else on the show that it stood out, and it would be one of the matches that I would consider going back and watching at a later date. So yeah,
any other thoughts you guys have about that?
Nope. That's pretty much it. I thought it was pretty good, and I think probably the best match The Miz will ever have at WrestleMania.
I mean, but the only other thing to talk about is the fact that they're going to have a rematch, obviously, at some point, because they can't end the feud on this. But I
think that they will.
No, they have to end it with Miz eventually beating him up.
I think they're going to sweep this under the rug with the Superstar Shake-Up.
I mean, Miz could end up on Raw because of the USA Network, obviously, and the Miz and Mrs. thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even if they have the Superstar Shake-Up, they'll have their next match at Money in the Bank, and it will just be like that. Miz will have been traded to Raw, so this is like the blow-off thing. So they'll just have like, I don't know, a Last Man Standing or an I Quit match or something like that to end it.
What are you talking about? The McMahon's aren't both shows.
Yeah, but I think that they're just going to kind of treat it as that's the end of it. Like, I don't think they're going to reference it pretty much at all. I think that they're just literally going to have The Miz pops up on Raw in 2 weeks, not tomorrow night, but the week after that, during the Superstar Shake-Up. And either he starts a new feud with somebody else, or he just fights somebody, beats somebody, and then a week or so after that, he starts a feud with somebody else. I think that that's it. And that's a little bit disappointing too. That's one of the reasons why I'm just sort of like, all right, well, this whole like, we did this World Cup tournament at Crown Jewel with the match in mind being The Miz versus Shane. So we're going back to November for this. And we had a tag team title reign. And it all leads to a vertical suplex on a crash pad. And that's it. And I'm like, all right, well, thanks for 5 months to build to that, you know? That's my issue with WrestleMania sometimes, is you build it up for a year or sometimes 2 years or whatever, and if it doesn't deliver, then it just feels like, wow, that was building up a lot. Whereas a lot of other things don't do that. You know, when we watched Infinity War, after watching 20 different movies through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. Like, you know, and the vertical suplex through crash pad. All right, well, let's move on then. Because the way that WWE goes about things, it's like, well, if it didn't work, then there's always tomorrow and forget about it, pal. Move on. And it's like, that sucks because that's my fucking job and I have to talk about it a lot. I don't know. Just one of those things. And we had the Women's Tag Team Championship match. That was a fatal 4-way. The Boston Hug Connection go in as champions against Beth Phoenix and Natalya, Nia Jax and Tamina. And the winners of the match, the IIconics.
The way they did it, I enjoyed it. I thought, I'm not happy with the result because I think there's a lot more to be told with Sasha and Bayley being champions. But I enjoyed the way that the IIconics won. I thought it highlighted what their characters are. And Beth looked really good. And the Bayley buddies need Blue Chew. Because they were not working.
Yeah, well, the most interesting aspect of the entire match for me is that Michael Cole seemingly doesn't know what the heart attack move is.
What do you mean?
Well, he didn't call it, did he? When it actually happened.
Did. No, they called it. They did say paying homage to the Heart Foundation, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's called the heart attacks to actually say the move. I know that's very difficult for him to say moves, but maybe he should just say it every now and again. It's just a case of like, Nia Jax and Tamina were out of the match for a long time, which is a positive. But it's just a case of after they've been out of the match for a while, you just immediately start thinking, oh god, Nia Jax and Tamina are going to win this match. Because they're out of the match for so long, they'll make a big comeback, they'll take out everybody and they'll win. Fortunately, they didn't go that route, but they went the very other worst route they possibly could go down, which is have the IIconics win the match.
What do you guys think is the reasoning for that? Do you think that this was the plan all along, or that they changed their mind somewhere along the way?
They changed their mind somewhere along the way. They wanted the IIconics to have a WrestleMania moment because WrestleMania moments are important. And quite honestly, they can lose it right back. I think this was just give Peyton and Billy a nice moment because they are an actual tag team as well and they deserve it. And I think that's all it was. But
it wouldn't shock me at all if a lot of the mentality behind this was everybody assumes that Banks and Bayley are guaranteed to win. Let's swerve them. And we could always just put the titles back on them tomorrow night. That kind of thing.
Which is part of the thing that like infuriates me about that is the case of like, oh yeah, let's give them a nice moment. They're heels. You don't give the heels the nice moment. It's like, oh, the heels deserve this lovely ovation and stuff like that. They are meant to be considered like really annoying, vindictive, the heels that capitalise on situations when other people have done all the hard work for them, and they're getting this round of applause and you deserve it chance, even though they both absolutely suck. So it's just, yeah, I just don't. I get it. I get why they want it. I don't agree with it.
The modern WWE has a real issue with separating, like, oh yeah, they're heels, but at the same time they have this really touching story that you need to hear because, and I know we're not at the main event yet, but the Charlotte Chronicle, I did not need to see because I'm going into it thinking Becky needs to win, and you present this heel with a very touching story, and it's kind of like what they did with the IIconics, where they're just like, yeah, they've been best friends, and they've been dreaming of this, and blah blah blah. So yeah, while I agree with you, I also have come to terms with how WWE works.
I don't hate it, but I don't know. I don't love it either. Like, I still maintain that this would have been better if it would have just been Banks and Bailey against Beth and Natalya.
Well,
And of course, by that, it wouldn't have ever gone to the IIconics because that would have been impossible. But like, I like the IIconics to a certain extent, and I don't hate the idea that they're tag team champions, but I do feel that kind of dread of just sort of like dread's a horrible word for it, but like I don't feel like they are going to hold these titles long, and it would not shock me at all if tomorrow night they drop them back to Boss and Hug just to be like, we had a title change happen at the Raw after WrestleMania. Isn't that interesting? And
good.
It's
just a case of these two aren't very good wrestlers, and I don't know whether that's because the way WWE presents them or anything along those lines. I know they're supposed to be chicken shit heels, but even chicken shit heels, most of them know how to wrestle, or can at least put on like entertaining performances in the process of doing it. And it's just a case of like, I know I can understand them eventually getting the titles because they are a double act and they do have fans clearly and a certain amount of charisma on the microphone, even though I can't stand to listen to anything they say. But it's just a case of there hasn't been a good, like a great. This match was good. This match was fine, but there hasn't been a great match for those titles yet. And now you're putting it on, and you're not going to get.
They've been fighting.
Oh yeah, but you're not going to get a great title match with the IIconics holding the championship. So these titles don't feel very legitimate to me right now.
No, they don't. And I maintain a previous idea that if they wouldn't have been able to do the whole Trish and Lita thing, then they should have had one Raw Tag Team Champion, like representative, one from SmackDown, one from NXT. And they should have just gone with, well, Banks and Bailey are the Raw team. There's no Nia Jax and Tamina. Fuck them. They could be in the Battle Royal. I don't care. The SmackDown tag team should have been built up in the sense of being like, well, let's have all the possible tag teams fight in some kind of like little mini tournament or something. I don't know, series of matches, whatever. And then you build up who is the possible challengers. And I still think it should have been Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. And then you go with Beth Phoenix and Natalya as like an extra team on top of the Sky Pirates. And it would have been a much, much better match, I think. But, hey, whatever. Is what it is. We'll see if the titles change hands tomorrow night. And I don't know if they don't, where they're going. But we'll talk about that later. We're not going to go into like full-on champion predictions in the future because it's the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania and the Superstar Shakeup. Everything could change over the next 4 episodes. So, just what is what it was. And that takes us to the WWE Championship match. Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston. One of the first times in the night where I was like, oh, thank God they didn't fuck this up.
Yeah. Okay.
Best match of the night in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. Just genuinely a feel-good match, a feel-good moment. Bryan played his role perfectly. And Kofi won. Like, what? So much good happened here. I have no complaints. Kofi's son is adorable.
For all the times previously leading up to this and all the times later on throughout the night that I'm going to mention the phrase missed opportunity, this thankfully was not one of them. Not only did they go with the right person, not only did they do the right thing by switching back to the actual championship, the one that looks nice and funny enough already had Kofi's side plates, which I thought was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, because it's a present from his friends.
Yeah, but they had what was one of my favorite parts of the whole night, which was seeing their genuine reactions afterward.
So many tears, dude.
Man, Woods is bawling.
I mean,
and that like it feels good, like because I've liked the New Day from the very beginning. I mean, I was on board with the New Day when they did the very first promo video package of like that choir, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I love it. And I remember people hating the New Day and me thinking there's something to this and I like it and I don't understand why everybody hates this and stuff. And Eventually, people got really on board. Eventually, people got really annoyed with them. And they were like, oh, I don't find a New Day fun anymore. And I'm like, I still mark out every time. Like, I still think that they're great. I've always liked Xavier Woods. I always thought that he deserved like an Intercontinental Championship at the very least or so. I always liked Big E. I thought that he was always funny. And Kofi was a guy that when they started pushing him in 07, I was like, that's really cool. I like this Kofi guy and whatever. So I loved this, you know? And it feels really good to have them feeling so good, and you could see that genuine passion behind that. And not to be the type of person that speaks on this, but it is kind of special for a lot of people because it is very, very rare that anybody who's an African American becomes a champion like that. And that's something that I'm sure is resonating really well with people that are, you know, different circumstances than I am. But I still fucking loved it.
I just, so many good things. Just, I thought it was perfect. I thought everything was good. Down to Rowan even lays out the New Day, and Kofi takes out Rowan himself. And that I thought was good. And yeah, it was just a really feel-good moment, akin to, you know, Eddie and Benoit hugging in the ring, akin to when Bryan won the title. It's just such a cool moment. And like for the first time, and again, I don't usually speak on these things, but yeah, I felt it. It felt really cool to have a, you know, Black world champion, and you've got his kids in the ring, and you're seeing this moment of like, this is an important moment for them. And Woods again is bawling, and it means so much to him, and I would watch that moment again and again and again.
I agree or disagree. This is more important and felt better than even the end of the night.
Hell yeah.
Oh, this was the best match, the like best moment, the like most feel good of the entire way that it was presented. Kofi, like Bryan played his, like Rob said, Bryan played his role so well as the heel. He looked so smug when he thought that he had the match won, when he had Kofi on the ropes after the bell lock, the way that he would do the like boots to the face, like when holding him still, and Kofi coming back and doing the same thing to him was just like such great karma. And then him hitting Trouble in Paradise to get the victory. I thought Bryan would have kicked out of the Trouble in Paradise, but the fact that he didn't, it worked because it was just the end of the match and everyone was so excited. Like the crowd is bouncing when he wins that match, and I mean it was a double-edged sword because I think this match killed the crowd for the rest of the night because it was so emotionally driven. Like I know the women, the main event, but based just on the reaction of this match and the way they ended and all that stuff, I can't help but think that this should have been the main event.
Maybe. I mean, I'm never going to make the argument that should have taken precedent over the whole first time ever women doing whatever kind of thing, but just if you could go back in time and adjust things based off of a weighted value of the crowd response, this was the one that got the best.
Because I was super gripped by this entire match in the way that all the other matches prior to it just hadn't done. Let's just say the matches prior to it were not entertaining. It was just a case they hadn't emotionally invested me as this match did. Like, I just felt like I was part of it, and I was part of watching this happening.
Yeah, this one made me like choke up a little bit. Like it felt real, you know what I mean? In a way that even the women's moment didn't feel as just like look, we knew whether Becky was in the match or not, we knew last year the women were main eventing. Like we've been feeling this for a while. Kofi was this great feel good story that you didn't see coming even in January, and it was the best moment of the night. And I mean this in terms of my reaction, crowd reaction, and match quality. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
But I have to say, like, obviously the main story is Kofi winning, and first of all, Big E's package makes an appearance, and it's full of t-shirts with this whole new line of shirts with there's a new champ. Yes, there is. I think that's such a great way of like pivoting off their catchphrase. But like Bryan coming back, like it's been a year since Bryan came back to the ring, and it just shows how important a character and a role that he plays. Like how much you never realize how much you missed him in the ring once he was like gone, and now he's back, and it's just like Kofi is like he's not a B+ player now, but it's a case of like he still feels like an upper mid card that's holding the big title. Bryan now feels firmly placed as like this is a main event guy. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is just an immense wrestling icon.
If you watch the WWE digital exclusive where Bryan cuts a wonderful, scathing promo on Kofi, really hammering home that Kofi, I'm not a hypocrite, you're a B+ player, because when the McMahons knocked me down, I fought. You just sat there and took it. And I mean, really top-notch stuff. The only thing I would have added to this match, I would have had Vince.
well, you know what was funny? I made a joke as soon as this ended. I was like, how pissed would everybody be if Vince McMahon came out and said, I forgot to announce this was a non-title match? Or something like, Kofi, that's great, but it's WrestleMania. We need a WrestleMania moment. You now have to defend the title against... Bum, bum, ba-da-dun. It would have been like, Brock Lesnar comes out, F5, something just like that. The fucking person in me that is such an asshole was just like, what would be the worst way to just undercut this? And I just kept thinking of things.
The Brock thing, you were not the only person who said that. There were some people who, as soon as Brock lost at 7 o'clock in the evening, thought, okay, Brock's going to beat Kofi. Like, because people are that cynical.
I tell you what, I would have probably been like in tears laughing at it if that would have happened. I would have been like, I hate this with all the passion in the world, but it's fucking funny. But I love it. I am looking forward to the celebration that they have, because you know they're going to do some kind of celebration. And even if Kofi drops it at Money in the Bank, he still did it, and that's still fucking great.
If Kofi drops it on Tuesday, he still fucking did it, and it's my Smark out moment of the year.
It's up there for me at the very least.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This felt like the most WrestleMania thing in all of WrestleMania.
100%. Yeah.
And it's all downhill from here.
Well, then we had Alexa Bliss checking up on Colin Jost and Michael Che backstage. They're icing themselves, all their injuries. And lo and behold, the doctors are Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon.
And
Scott Hall kind of, is looking a little creepy. Kevin Nash just sort of implies that he's going to give him a rectal exam. And...
Yep. And there you go.
That made Vince laugh. So
the insiders.
Then we had a complete squash match. Samoa Joe beat the shit out of Rey Mysterio to retain the United States Championship, and absolutely nothing happened with Dominic, which means, what was the point?
Rey got injured. They didn't feel like adding another person, so they just said, all right, go out there and shine Joe.
Yeah, they could have done something along the lines, like, actually, you're going to suggest, Tony, of like putting Kevin Owens out there as a replacement or something along those lines. But this meant that they could get the match over done quickly, and it gives Triple H it gives Triple H 5 more minutes to do this match. So,
yeah.
This is the type of thing, though, that to me just hinders the night, because it's like, all right, well, it served no purpose. There was no point to it. Everybody's going to forget about it. It doesn't exist, essentially, and it's just, I don't know, 2 entrances. And a question of, is Rey Mysterio dressed up as the Prowler, or is he something else?
Yeah, I didn't figure it out this year. What was he?
He looked like Green Goblin. A little bit.
That's a timely reference.
I don't know. People are throwing out Joker and Riddler and all that, which is like, that's totally not either of them. But my first instinct was the Prowler. And then he's got a fucking mohawk and all that. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. But by the time I'm trying to figure out what it is, the match is over. And hey, at least Samoa Joe got to wrestle at WrestleMania for the first time in 3 years.
Damn right.
Yeah. It's quite amazing that, 3 years, and this is his first WrestleMania match. It's over in under 2 minutes.
What a horrible record for WrestleMania.
Yeah, but to be fair, they had to announce all of the the international announcers. So
you gotta say Meng Ai and Sean Dang, and you gotta go through a list of 400 names, and it's just,
and there's no better time to do that
stupid.
than the United States match, by the way.
No, they probably should have done that when the Hardy Boys were out. They could have done that.
No, because that's only on the USA Network.
Yeah, so this was kind of stupid, and if they built up this whole thing with Dominic and it served absolutely no purpose, and as far as I know, they didn't even show him, then why?
Because it would have led to something where either Joe wins and Dominic confronts him, or Ray wins, courtesy of Dominic. But Ray got injured, so plans changed.
Yeah, I think it was just a case of the Mysterio got injured and they didn't want to rob him of his moment because of the injury, because Mysterio's done really well since he's come back. They still wanted to give him some sort of moment, even if it meant that he would be losing in a couple of seconds.
Flat out bust. That's how I look at it.
Well, speaking of flat out busts,
Elias?
I was talking more about the Batista move. that doesn't look very interesting.
That was that called
Stupor.
Yeah, no. Not gonna movie pass that one.
Yeah, I don't think that'll,
especially since I don't have movie pass anymore.
I don't think that will recoup as much money as Avengers Endgame.
Pretty sure it won't. Then we had Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns.
Damn it, I keep forgetting that match.
Yeah, because it was forgettable. There was nothing to this. It was the most mediocre. It was a Monday Night Raw match. And it's a shame because these two could have had a much better match. They could have had something that mattered more. And the crowd seemed to not give a shit.
I'm surprised Roman won.
I'm not at all.
No.
This went down exactly the way that I imagined that it would.
Yeah, he survived cancer. Of course he's going to win this match. But it amazes me as much as anything else. Not even cancer can win over the support of the WWE universe. Because it's 2 months later and people are booing Reigns again. I'm sure. I mean, it wasn't as big as it used to be, so that's fine. But it was a mixture of apathy towards this match, and then when Reigns was on the attack, I'm pretty sure after he'd hit either the Superman punch or something along those lines, I could hear asshole chants.
It sounded like it to me, yeah.
It's just like, okay, this hasn't taken very long at all. It's like it can only buy you so much goodwill and so much time before you're right back to where you were before.
But again,
well, people were doing the wave during this.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Every time a WrestleMania crowd gets distracted, I'm like, oh, is there a fucking beach ball in the crowd? You know? Because they're stupid. Fuck them.
Yeah. Now, 2020 hindsight, if you could have swapped this and AJ Styles and Randy Orton, I think that would have helped both of them.
Potentially. I still think the Orton Styles match would have gotten no reaction if they were in this spot as well.
Well, I feel like they might have been able to kind of lift up a little bit, and McIntyre and Romans, if they would have gone on earlier, maybe people wouldn't have crapped on Roman as much because they would have been like, "Oh yeah, WrestleMania, like it's just started," you know, like.
I thought these two worked hard. Just people were exhausted by this point. It's like this was about 4 hours into the show. Well, if you're not counting the pre-show at this point, and it's like it wasn't that exciting, and all the stuff they were saying as well. Like Roman Reigns gets the biggest fireworks display of pretty much anyone out there. Like he gets first pyro coming out, and then he gets fireworks behind him, and then he does the fist in the ring, and he gets even more fireworks surrounding the arena. It's like the show had ended with Roman Reigns just sitting there, which I assume was probably the plan of what they were doing, like in the build-up before he did get his illness.
Well, look, everybody got fucking pyro. The Boston Hug connection got pyro.
Yeah, but
I
they didn't
don't-
get this pyro. They didn't get
Yeah, he got the most for sure.
Yeah, he absolutely got the most pyro out of anyone. And all the stuff that was said in commentary, like references that Roman Reigns is fighting for the world tonight, and he doesn't believe he wouldn't have made it without the WWE Universe. Listen, he had cancer, but based on every single estimation, especially due to the fact of the time frame he was able to come back, he wasn't going to die of this thing. It was very, very unlikely he was going to die of this thing. They caught it early, which is great, and they treated it quickly, which is also great, and he's back, which is like amazing. But they can't just like play off the fact of like, oh, he was fighting for his life, because he based on lots of people that had cancer and stuff like that, he was probably in the people that was kind of like on the safer side of things.
I mean, not to like diminish it and stuff like that, but like it's the type of thing where he wasn't hooked up to chemo and hair falling out and on death's door laying in the hospital.
Yeah, it's like any illness. Like if you catch it late enough, then it's going to be more likely that it's going to kill you. I mean, it's like you get pneumonia late and stuff like that, and not diminishing like cancer and pneumonia. It's like there's a preference either way, but it's a case of like it depends when you get it and when it's cool and what sort of strain it is and stuff along those lines. So, like, again, don't want to diminish Reigns' accomplishments for beating it, but it's just a case of you shouldn't really be going along the lines that he was going to die for it or that he wasn't going to make it without the WWE Universe. It's like they're really hammering home the point, and this is the stuff that got him resented in the first place.
Yeah. And I hope that they can turn that around, because I really don't want to go back to the whole like everybody just crapping all over Roman thing.
I think it's already done. I don't think there's anything you can do to change it.
Well, right now at least we have Kofi.
Yeah, that's true. Then after that we had before that I just want to talk really, really quickly. Drew McIntyre's entrance. I like that they had the drummers and the bagpipes. That was cool.
Yeah, somebody needed some pizzazz.
Somebody needs something. Then we had Elias come out, joined by Elias and Elias.
That was fucking stupid.
I thought that it was funny though, like that you got one Elias on the piano, one Elias on the drums, and Elias in the ring and the guitar.
Oh, that was awesome.
On the guitar. I liked it. I liked everything about this all the way up until John Cena came out.
So hold on. Let me explain what happened to me here. I get up, I see Elias, and I'm like, I probably have 2 minutes. I go to the bathroom, I come out, I see Babe Ruth. All of a sudden I hear basic thugonomics? Like, did I miss something beforehand? Or was this just like 1 minute he's talking and the next minute it's Babe Ruth?
No, you didn't miss anything. This was the exact same Elias thing that he normally does. And then suddenly a Babe Ruth whole video package popped up, and then John Cena's theme started.
What a weird thing.
And that's where I was like, oh, God damn it. Because I said this before, like, I did not give a shit about seeing John Cena come out and be the one that interrupts Elias. I don't care. We've seen it before. More than once. And it just doesn't matter. And, he's, thugonomics mode this time. Okay, well, he could do a silly rap and then do the same thing he did before, so it's the exact same thing. I think that this was one of the biggest oversights of the night, of just somebody out there, Vince or Cena or whoever, had a boner for this and just did not want to budge on it. And I think everybody was looking at this as just kind of being like, look at the reception on the Hall of Fame. Please face angle. And it's like, no, we got to have that fucking Elias thing instead. That'll work. That'll get them over. They'll love that. And I can't imagine anybody leaving this WrestleMania, and a month from now, for instance, if you say, what's your favorite part of WrestleMania, that anybody would say it was this. Unless you were the type of person who was so fucking over like the John Cena thugonomics thing that this is just literally a nostalgia trip.
Well,
and that's not the same thing.
For me, it was quite a nostalgia trip. But even still, and let me just say this: I did enjoy the brief return to Thugonomics. My only issue being, fucking why? Like, Callum, you're a very intelligent person. Why here? Why now? Why this?
Because, well, there's many reasons. This the case of they wanted to actually follow storyline continuity with the Baron Corbin Kurt Angle thing, which obviously talk about that sort of things, and that was the one thing they decided to actually want to keep continuity with. The basic Thugonomics character is incredibly popular because it's not the John Cena that everyone has a mixed reaction towards. And so, of course, it got a big pop because that was the John Cena that everyone fell in love with before he became a tool, essentially. And so, even though his raps they're not really raps, it's just saying words that rhyme at the end of it.
Did you ever see that old MTV show, Yo Mama? Like, it's just a guy making a bunch of, like, burns over and over again, but it made me laugh.
But yeah, that's the thing about it, is like, even though I would have rather seen her been doing other things, the crowd popped big for it. They popped bigger for this than anything that happened in the Reigns McIntyre match. So
that's not hard.
Oh yeah, but it's just a case. Well, it's not hard, but the next match couldn't do it either, and most of the matches following that match couldn't do it either, and yet this did. So there's got to be something in it.
I don't know of any moment in the last 5 to 7 years that got the people just chanting Cena, Cena. They were very much into this, and they loved hearing him say, "There's no AA tonight, but you'll get an FU," and that got a pop. People, I think, I don't know if they want to see that particular persona every night, but they want that bit of an edge every night.
I get the feeling more that people just want WrestleMania moments, and that this was at right enough time on the pay-per-view that people popped because it was something to pop about.
Well, that could be, but I also think that that's unfortunately because they're so preconditioned to the only thing about WrestleMania anymore that matters is the WrestleMania moment. Like, WrestleMania used to be, you had these feuds and they're culminating, but now it's literally just like, yeah, but how can we create an everlasting moment of the year?
Oh, that's not going to be this. This isn't some everlasting, at the end of the year, everybody's going to go, what do you mean this wasn't the Smark out moment? Like, I can't imagine it being that.
I think it was more than just, I mean, obviously the moment is probably the big deal associated with it, but I don't think just anyone could have gotten this reaction at this point in time. I think you had to have someone who is as over, like, in the mainstream, or at least like on the main roster, that is every single week, like Elias. And he needed someone like John Cena, who people obviously expected that would be there, but the fact they did a little twist on his character made it more entertaining.
And I like Cena taking shots at himself. Like, this whole thing sucks. It's like one of my movies. Like, it's dumb, but it still made me laugh that Cena is so self-aware. It's painful, and he knew what people wanted that night.
I felt thoroughly underwhelmed and disappointed.
Speaking of which,
no holds barred match, Triple H versus Batista, a match that I figured wasn't going to be all that great. I had a chance that it could be with the no holds barred thing, and I think that it was pretty blah.
Yeah, I guess I'll kick off on this one. I thought this match was awful, like really, really bad. Batista's clearly ring rusty, as he could tell, because of the fact he couldn't even get into the ring in the first place. So that's difficult.
That's on my list for worst botches of the year already, because that was pretty bad. He couldn't get out of the car right either.
Yeah, no.
So I have a theory that this guy comes in with an idea of how can I create a meme today? Because he's been just straight memes ever since he's come back. Every time he comes back.
I mean, I kind of just... I hope to his sake that it was him attempting to make a meme. Otherwise, he just fell over getting into the ring, which is still funny. So at least that's a little bit of a moment. Triple H's entrance is as gaudy and ridiculous as ever.
That was my least favorite Triple H entrance of anything ever that he's ever done.
You know the entrance is bad when Corey Graves says, "How cool was that?" Just to try and get some sort of like, oh yeah, it must have been cool because Corey Graves says it, even though that's like the opposite of what things have ended up being.
Well, but it's fucking weird. Like, what? Why Mad Max? Why? Why vehicles the last 3 years, Hunter? Like, what is going on? What is this that he feels the need to ride out on some type of vehicle because he's a badass now who wears a vest? And
yeah, it's weird that he's got this like obsession with I almost said vegetables with vehicles. That'd be great if it was obsession with vegetables. It's been 3 years in a row with he did 2 of just a motorcycle, and now I thought that it was a fucking tractor at first, and I was just like, this is really lame. And I liked Mad Max Fury Road. I was very surprised at how much I liked that movie, and this was stupid.
Go ahead.
I was just going to move ahead to like past the entrance. Triple H looks like somebody who doesn't have to conform to the wellness policy on a weekly basis. Let's put it that way. Not making any insinuations there. Just thought it's an interesting thing to reference. And there were some interesting spots like the pulling the nose ring out, using the clamp on the fingers. But this was very like, okay, just the point that needs to come out there. This is 2 old men fighting, and it's gotten to the point now. And I know Batista would have been ring rusty, and I know Triple H came back from a torn pec, but I'm looking at that and thinking, yeah, Triple H needs to hang it up. I felt the same way like I've been watching some of Kurt Angle's matches. It's just a case of he's got a few good nostalgia pots, but he's just moving so slowly. Like they're both just plodding around the ring. They're selling for about 10 minutes after every move that's hit. It's so contrived. It was. I can't enjoy this sort of thing, especially the fact is that Triple H, he must have written in his contract that he has to have the longest match at WrestleMania every single year, because that's how he books it all the time. And like I said, there's a difference between the NXT Triple H and the performer Triple H. The performer Triple H can't help himself. He has to have the spotlight as long as he possibly can. The NXT one is very selfless and endearing, and he knows what's best for business, and he does like sacrifice certain things, and he does know what to push and when to push it and all that other side of things. But then when it's him, it's all about him, and it's only him. And that's the way this match felt.
See, I didn't get that kind of feeling from the match being like, this is like an ego trip or anything. I just felt that this was exactly what I imagined that it was going to be, which is 2 people that don't have it in them to put on a good match and didn't. I didn't think it was the worst thing in the world, but I honestly, I didn't take anything away from it except for I wonder what they did with the whole nose ring thing.
Considering that I didn't like Super Showdown and I wasn't a big fan of Crown Jewel, I think this is one of the better Triple H's recent matches. And I'm going to equate all of that to I enjoyed seeing stuff like pliers and chains used because it reminded me of when stuff like that used to be used on a regular basis. And I think the match went on way too long. I think the match went on way too late to go on so long and drag like that. They tied up the story nicely with the Ric Flair thing. And the coolest thing, that maybe the last cool thing Triple H will ever do, I enjoyed that sledgehammer shot. the I'm gonna
Superman punch.
Yeah, like I'm gonna fucking fly off the stairs and hit him in the face with the sledgehammer. I enjoyed that. Random moment I really enjoyed was the Too Sweet with Sean, because it's like everything is such a joke to them. They're just like, yeah, you know what we're doing. And that's another thing I'm gonna bring up. Triple H in the build up to this, when doing the media stuff, was so like, yeah, I love Dave, and this is important to him, and this will be fun. That I didn't find myself caring about the match to begin with, but you know, it was fine for what it was. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, it maybe it's time for Triple H to start thinking of how to wrap up that story of him as an in-ring competitor, but this was fine, you know. I just want to go back to the entrance thing. Do you think that Triple H's first Mania was 12, and Warrior got a very big entrance and then beat the fuck out of him? Do you think that every year he's like, no, I need to have a special entrance because I will never get over that feeling of being squashed in 1996?
I think
It
it's
might be.
I think it's just the ego trip thing, as it usually is with him. It's just a case of like the sledgehammer shot was cool. Batista taking that big bump off the power bomb. One thing that needs to obviously go mentioned with Triple H is that he can't just win with the sledgehammer shot like Superman punch thing, which is cool. He has to hit his move. He has to hit the pedigree after that as well. It's like always has to hit the pedigree, always wins it. I know it comes across as me just always shitting on Triple H, but it gets to a point where you just like watch him and just think, like, dude, give it up. It's like, you're really, really good at what you do now, backstage, behind the scenes. You're going to take over the company and you're going to do a fantastic job. Just stick to that. That's what you're good at now. This is
Shawn Michaels kind of alluded to that.
Well, I mean, Shawn Michaels, it's hard to tell anything that he was alluding to because his commentary is fucking atrocious.
Which he was never good at, ever.
But he's even worse now because, like, you can tell through the kickoff panels, like, it takes him 10 seconds to say any word anyway because he stutters over himself or so much. I know he used to be at least decent on the mic, and now he's just like, he comes across as a bumbling old man.
How did a great, like, distinct promo guy turn into, well, I'm just saying that, Triple H and,
Because the drugs catch up to you eventually, Rob.
Like, that's, you guys know I'm not making too much fun of him. He's my favorite wrestler, but it's just so wild to me that that's how he speaks.
I look at this as, in a lot of ways, I look at WrestleMania as you spend a year or whatever to build up to a certain point, and was it worth it? And sometimes it's kind of more along the lines of maybe you didn't take a year to get to the point, but we're using this to propel something going forward, and is it worth it to, like, the Austin era has begun, and we're starting the Austin thing, or we're really putting John Cena on the map by having him beat JBL, or, whatever the case may be. And I look at this Batista Triple H thing and say, did I feel like Batista needed to return to have this final match? And I think no.
So, in an interview with Yahoo Sports, Triple H kind of said he was really looking forward to having a chill WrestleMania year because he was injured, and Vince was kind of like, hey, you're going in the Hall of Fame, and hey, I need you to do that match with Batista. So, I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. But I don't think that this match needed to happen, but it did, and it won't have too many lasting repercussions.
Yeah, I mean, part of me kind of wishes that it didn't happen, and we could have just spread out the card a little bit better, or,
But yeah, certainly a lot of matches could have got a bit more time off the back of this one.
Yeah. Or just maybe another match that could have been on the card. Maybe like a Kevin Owens could have been participating in something decent. I don't know. Then we had Alexa Bliss in another spot backstage. She's with the B team. They're hawking a t-shirt. Ron Simmons comes out, says, damn. Really, nothing else. More to that. I like when Ron Simmons does that, so fine.
This is where
Yeah.
they should have brought the Undertaker back.
He should have said damn.
Well, no, yeah. Simmons could have said that, and then he could be behind Simmons and said rest in peace. And then that would have been something. I'm just trying to think of it. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where else he could have done.
I mean, it would have been kind of interesting if she would have said something like, I want to have another WrestleMania moment, snaps her fingers, and Undertaker comes out.
Yeah,
or something. I don't really know.
I'm surprised they didn't use that again throughout the night.
Yeah.
Does she not carry that power after WrestleMania?
Nope.
So now whenever she snaps her fingers, just like nothing happens.
Well, we might have turned to dust.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see how Endgame works. And then we go to the final match of Kurt Angle, which was actually Baron Corbin. And Baron Corbin wins by pinfall. And it's kind of like, all right, is that it? And Kurt Angle goes, hey, can you tell me that I suck? And then leaves.
Callum, do you want to go first here? Or how do you want to handle this?
Let me build up to it.
All right. This was a fucking embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
We have said this a lot on the podcast, Tony. I liked Baron Corbin a lot.
Yeah.
They've done everything to make me not like Baron Corbin, and not in a like, oh, he's a heel, he's doing his job. But as Callum said on a recent episode, I think X-Pac Heat should be renamed Baron Corbin Heat. I was just mad that this was actually happening, and this was actually as long as it was when we still needed to get through 2 fucking matches.
I don't blame Baron Corbin for any of this.
I mean, you can't blame the performer for how the show is written. No, you cannot. But I blame the fact that you did so much right. So clearly you understand that your audience, you're hearing them to some regard because you didn't put Lesnar over, you didn't have Bryan take a shit on Kofi's chest. So it's not like you're just...
I was just imagining that, like, how that would have ever came about. He's, like, pinning him, and it's just like, let's one rip.
It's not like you're not listening. But then, for some reason, like Callum said, this is the one thing where they're like, no. Baron Corbin is meant to be a staple of Monday Night Raw. Baron Corbin is going to go on and feud with Roman Reigns. Baron Corbin should have been a big deal on Raw. We're mad that he got the lowest ratings in Raw history. And Baron Corbin is going to beat fucking Kurt Angle in his last match ever. Now, I'm not saying... Now, Bully Ray tweeted this immediately. Hey, that was the right decision. No veteran should ever go over in their last match. Go out on your back. It's a different time. And Kurt Angle deserved, if he wasn't going to go out facing a legend, he deserved to win the goddamn match. And the whole, hey, tell me I suck. It's like they can't forgive the fact that Kurt spent more of his years in TNA, and they had to make him look like a buffoon every single step of the way. Because you cannot tell me that since he came back 2 years ago, that he didn't just spend his fucking time looking like a goddamn idiot. The Hall of Fame speech. You're going in the Hall of Fame. What did he do? Oh, hey, you remember when I sprayed milk? That was great. Hey, you remember when I put on a cowboy hat and said yippee-ki-yay? That's great. And then he's a fucking road general manager, and he stumbles over his words, and Kurt was better than this. He just was. And maybe not to everybody. Maybe, I have different eyes because I grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era. Kurt was better than this. And you just made him look stupid every step of the way. And congratulations.
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you said it's not like they don't know what's going on. They knew that people did not like this. And it's not just that people didn't like it, it's that Kurt Angle didn't like it. And yet they stomped their foot down. They said, no, I want my Baron Corbin match. And like the petulant little child, it became, you see those kids at the fucking Walmart or whatever, and it's like, all right, the parent buys them the toy just to shut them up. And it's like, that kind of feels like that to me. Like, you guys are getting your Kofi, you're getting your Seth, so give me that fucking Baron Corbin thing and shut all up. And there's going to be people arguing this too. There's going to be people saying this was the right decision, and oh my god, think of all the heat that Baron Corbin's going to get going forward.
But I don't.
Does it matter?
But I don't
like, he was getting heat.
But I don't
like
care.
He was already like somebody who was hated. And if you want to try to make the argument that they needed to do this to give him a win to make him credible, that's their own fucking fault, because they're the same people that gave him the Money in the Bank and then had him lose to John Cena.
No,
they're the same people that had him win the United States Championship and not do a goddamn thing with it. Like, they put him in this spot.
And listen,
you know?
I don't give a fuck. I don't want to hear, oh well, you needed a win to make him credible. No, you don't. 2 words, Jinder Mahal. You could fucking make somebody credible any point you want to. It just comes down to, I think they had a hard on for Kurt, because I can't fathom any other reason as to why not only this, but his whole comeback was always shitty. I think they had a hard on for him, and right down to the point where, really, you're gonna have Baron Corbin mock Cena just because you just want to, you gotta stick it to the fans in some way, just to say that, hey, we have the control here, even though you allow the fans to hijack your shows because you want to tout interaction. Everything about this upset me. Everything about this was wrong. I don't care about Baron Corbin anymore, unfortunately. He wears corporate casual. He still doesn't stop doing that. Don't know why. And I don't care.
And they're going to make the argument, he's wearing the corporate casual because it's pissing everybody off, so that gets some heat. And then they're going to make the argument of, well, now we have a really great challenger for Seth Rollins. And it's not going to matter. And people are going to look at this more than probably anything else on this card, and they're going to go, what a black mark on WrestleMania 35.
And I'm going to say it again. Kurt Angle deserved better. You know, Callum, take over now.
You're the most passionate out of all the Kurt Angle fans. Go for it.
I mean, the saddest thing about the entire situation for me is that I thought Kurt looked pretty good in this match compared to what he has looked in the last couple of weeks. He looked like he knew that this was his last rodeo, at least in WWE terms. Because I honestly, after this match, I first of all wouldn't blame him, and second of all would expect him to, when he's out of his WWE contract, go find someone to fight on the independent circuit, or go back to Impact Wrestling and have a match there, or go to AEW and have a match there. Because this isn't the way to go out. I don't have an issue with Kurt Angle going out on his back. It's the caliber of opponent that he's facing is the big issue, and it's something that you could have easily fixed. And it's just a case of, if you did actually care about Kurt Angle and you did respect his accomplishments, because I mean, I'll say it, and those other people would echo me, that he's arguably one of, if not the greatest wrestler of all time, in terms of just in-ring quality. And yes, he isn't at that level anymore, but he still deserves an opponent that would give him as close to that match level quality as possible. But it could have been John Cena, it could have been Kevin Owens, it could have been AJ Styles, it could have been Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio. You could pick like over half the roster would have given Kurt Angle a decent match, and if they'd won, it kind of would have made sense, like a passing of the torch thing. Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar, name anybody along those lines. It'd either be a high-profile match, or it would have been a match that that feels like it's giving a rub to somebody. With Corbin, it just feels like a big kick in the nuts, because he's just and it's not even a case of like him just not being over or him having the X-Pac heat or anything along those lines. It's the fact of, like Rob says, they can give anybody a push at any time for any reason. And with Corbin, they've shown they will literally just they are completely willing to just push him at any opportunity. They've even though they've taken away like the Money in the Bank briefcase from him, he's been United States champion. He was basically the poster boy for Raw for a few months in terms of being just on every single show in virtually every single segment. And they clearly have a big thing to him because he's big, and that's really the only. He's not a terrible wrestler, but that seems to be the only real redeeming quality that he has, is that he's big and he can talk. And yeah, it's just a case of Angle. It's not a case of Angle deserves better. We deserved better as well. It's a case like, I know we got everything else, a lot of things that we wanted out of this card. We got the Kofi win, we got Seth winning, we got Becky winning at the end and stuff along those lines. But we got one, and so we're fans, and we're just marking out the case of like, oh, you just can't settle for things that you like, and Kurt Angle went on his back. That's what the veteran should do. But it's just a case of, yeah, talk about Shawn Michaels, his retirement match, even though he came back to soak in some blood money. It was the idea of he lost to The Undertaker. Ric Flair's retirement match, he lost to Shawn Michaels. Give Kurt Angle somebody good, and then he can retire again and lose, and I'm totally happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he's gonna win, or if he's gonna face Baron Corbin, the very least you could do is just make the fans happy by having him win. So you simultaneously you make Kurt Angle look stupid for doing it. You gave absolutely no further credibility or heat on Baron Corbin, because the fans there, and I know we talk about casuals, whatever, but most fans there know that Kurt Angle was just asked to lose that match. It's not like people hate Baron Corbin because he was the one that lost it. It's like they're angry at the people behind the scenes because they're the one that booked it. And yeah, you couldn't even give him the victory and make the fans like just cheer him on his way out. I mean, this Kurt Angle still tried to do the thing of like just say, "Oh, chant you sucker me as I go out."
Yeah, it's so fucking retarded.
But you just look at like him going up to his family, and his family are trying to smile, but they know, like, his wife is probably furious.
Was broken up, dude.
Yeah, he looked at Mick Foley shared a picture of Noelle after the thing on Twitter, and just Noelle just got a blank expression on her face. He's just saying, and Mick Foley's somebody who defends WWE often to a fault, really, occasion, and he says, yeah, Kurt deserved better than that. And again, it's along the lines of, it's not the case of him going out on his back or not. It's like a case of just give him the moment that he deserves for the career that he's had.
So I have a question. Where do you stand on my theory of, well, they never forgave him for how he left and for spending more years in TNA? Because really, nobody got that kind of treatment.
I wouldn't be surprised. They have shown that they have been petty in that regard at that sort of time. I don't say nobody's been given that treatment, but basically everyone that came up from WCW at the point in time, just because they didn't work for WWE, got that sort of treatment. But it's just a case of, I would look forward to Kurt Angle when he's out of his contract, if he ever does leave, in terms of like the contract side of things. I assume he'll become an ambassador, or he'll become like a Legends contract or anything along those lines. But if he's ever out of those contracts, I'd love to hear a shoot interview about all this stuff that went on.
Current
shit, I'd love to hear just next week whatever Conrad and Bruce do.
Yeah,
I really hope that there's something that they can do where Conrad just kind of goes, hey, we know that you're not in charge of everything, but WrestleMania just happened. We need to talk a few minutes about that. What the fuck are you guys thinking with this? What about that? Because at the very end of the last episode, they did talk about it for a minute, and he was just like, how's it shaping up? And he's like, I got a feeling that on paper it could be one of the best ones and whatever. And it's like, well, some of that didn't quite pan out. And I really want to know if this is maybe one of those situations that, you know, if you listen to Something to Wrestle With, and they're talking about things like WrestleMania 9 or, you know, whatever the case may be, a lot of times things seem to come down to Vince at the time was just very flippant about it. And part of me really kind of thinks that maybe this was something as simple as Vince just did not think Kurt Angle's retirement meant that much. And in his mind right now, in this philosophy, he was thinking, That would be great if we could put Baron Corbin over. It'd get a lot of heat. Wouldn't that work?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, then in his mind, he's like, oh, who fucking cares? It's just a retirement match. You know, like, I really don't think that it's that important to him. And I'll not mince any words here. Kurt Angle's retirement does not mean as much to me as Shawn Michaels' retirement did. Or The Undertaker, when it seemed like he was going to hang it all up. That meant a lot more because those are my two favorites of all time. But just because Kurt Angle's not my favorite doesn't mean I can't empathize and sympathize. And, you know, Ric Flair had his fucking moment. So why can't anybody else necessarily? You don't need to go crazy over some people. It doesn't need to be like, let's have the whole roster come out and, you know, give a rounding applause thank you for Heath Slater when he retires or something. But you know what I mean?
Like, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. He deserves that, because if you listen to the endless interviews with Gable, Banks, Bailey, they all put over Angle, Guerrero, you know, Jericho.
No, see, that's where I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve that. I'm saying not everybody does, but Kurt Angle's one of them who does.
Yeah, and it's this case of like, I'll put it this way: do you think Triple H is going to be jobbing to Baron Corbin on his final match?
Exactly.
Do you think
if they gave it to,
if he has a retirement match, he's going to be facing Baron Corbin?
Right.
You think Jericho?
That's the whole thing.
Back, he's going to be facing Baron Corbin. Maybe Jericho would, because of the AEW thing.
Because they fucking tried to have him lose to Fandango.
Yeah. But you just look at it, like, Batista's had his final match now, and he got to have it against Triple H. Fucking Batista.
He had it against Triple H when there was no precedent to do that, because the last time that they were together, they were teaming, and it's been years. So that literally just became, Batista came in and said, I want to face Triple H in my final match, and they were like, okay. And Kurt Angle's like, can I fight like Apollo Crews or somebody who's interesting? And they're like, ugh. It's like, come on, what the fuck?
Like, look at all the other ones, but we already mentioned something. But like Undertaker, if he's had his final match with WWE, he got to team with Kane against Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's as much as we can shit on the quality of the match, it was still like a lot of big names facing each other on a big stage.
And his previous matches too. I mean, he technically, his last match at WrestleMania was against John Cena. Before that, he put over Roman Reigns, and he had this big ceremony at the end of like leaving his gear in the ring and all this, and like those are moments that really actually kind of translate as something that somebody would have been into. And if Brock Lesnar gave a shit about it, which I don't think that Brock really cares about that kind of stuff, but if Brock wanted to have a final match, you're damn right he would end up getting somebody who he would want. And it would be something that would, you know, I don't know who he would pick, but like it would work out like that. And it feels just like they gave Kurt Angle a spot that they would have given to any mid-card type of guy.
Yeah.
And then the finisher made him look like a fucking moron, by the way. I'm going to do him a moonsault.
I feel bad about that, because it's the idea of they made him, well, as part of the match, either he decided or they decided that he should do a moonsault. And like in his condition, and he's going to lose the match, you just don't do it. There's no point. It's like, you're going to lose anyway. Why would you try and damage yourself in the process? Like, you could have landed that really, really badly and hurt yourself. But
best Kurt Angle WrestleMania match?
Well, not this one, obviously.
Well, not this one, but I mean, I'm trying to end it on a positive
I thought that's
note,
what you were. I thought that's what you were saying too. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, Rob. Come on, man.
No, I'm trying to end it on a positive note, guys. Come on.
Like, this is the only bad one he's had. But okay, like, you go either the match against Shawn Michaels is probably the one that everyone would turn to, but I think that either the match against Brock or the match against Guerrero also holds up really well.
Yeah.
Best Baron Corbin WrestleMania match.
Well, yeah, because I think this is the only.
He won the battle. He's only ever wrestled in the Battle Royal other than this, hasn't he?
Well, no, he did fight Ambrose and lose.
Oh, so, yeah, that Intercontinental title. What?
I mean, yeah, like, no matter what.
You guys excited to see? You guys excited to see Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin at Money in the Bank?
Well,
it's gonna fucking happen somewhere down the line.
I'm not excited to see Baron Corbin do anything right now.
I'm not going to be happy until I see his grave. Sounds pretty bad. Nah, I wouldn't go that. I wouldn't go that harsh. But it's not a case I don't even want him out of the company or along those lines. But I'm not going to be happy until he. I don't know what he can do about it. Like he's. I don't think he's ever going to be any better than he currently is. Like he's in his mid-30s now. He's probably not going to get much better. And he's not terrible. He's not terrible. He can definitely talk. He can definitely do like big man stuff. But I just don't know what the place is for him.
Well, can he at least go back to being a bit of a hard ass? Like him being like the manager of a Hot Topic look, it just fucking looks weird. At least go back to being, kind of tough. Like I buy that. I don't buy whatever he's doing now. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Just one of those disappointments.
Yeah,
that's just kind of like I don't know. It's missed opportunity again. I'll say that phrase, and something that for a company that says that they listen to fans and that they clearly can listen to fans on certain times where they want to, like they understood that the Kofi Kingston thing was something that needed to be done. They just planted their foot in the fucking ground on this one and said, I want that. And I don't care, no matter how many people are going to hate this, that needs to happen. And I think that hindsight's 2020, and whether it already happened, it might have already happened. They might have at the end of this been like, fuck, I thought that they would have had a better reaction than that, which is really stupid. But it takes a week, it takes a month, it takes 2 years. Somewhere down the line, they're going to go, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But the damage is done,
And I'm just trying to round it off next. I know we should probably move on to other ones after this because we talked about this as well. But like you guys, I feel like jealous of you because you got your moment with Shawn Michaels in there. He got his big match and you got to end it like that. Like this would be, I think, probably the equivalent for me how this feels if Shawn Michaels' final match on that year would have been against Vladimir Kozlov.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like. I mean, I still applauded when he left. I still bow down to the screen because I don't think there's ever going to be anyone that can ever touch Kurt Angle in the ring. I'm glad to be proven wrong going forward, but at this point in time, I don't think anyone will ever match what I believe he ever achieved. And yeah, it's just a sad way to end an incredible career, and it'll leave me thinking like. The only thing that I ever want to forget about Kurt Angle's career is how it ended.
Yeah. Well, who knows? AEW. He might end up having one more match.
Oh, yeah. Put him with Jericho or something. Or Omega. They'd give him Omega. They'd give him Rhodes for his final match.
They would understand.
Yeah.
Well, then we moved on to a match that I literally do not give the slightest shit about. And there was absolutely nothing that changed my mind about it, which was Bobby Lashley defending, and unsuccessfully he lost the Intercontinental Championship to Finn Balor. Came out with one of the worst paint jobs that they've done for the Demon character. He does the same shit, he wrestles the same match, and he fucking wins. And let's put this in the context.
Well, the Demon was able to powerbomb Lashley. Tony,
that matters. Bobby Lashley wins the Intercontinental Championship in January. He loses it to Balor in February, who loses it to Lashley in March, who wins it back in April.
I think this is the start of them actually keeping it on Balor, and I'm excited to see where they go. My one gripe with this match was it wasn't a squash. It should have literally been bing, bang, boom. Done, but they tried to give Lashley offense, and I think that was a mistake.
I honestly would have rather this have been Finn Balor never lost the title, and neither of these even competed on the card. I think that this was a complete waste of time.
There's a few talking points from this. First of all, obviously talk about the Balor face paint. There was a big furore on Twitter about the idea that Finn Balor had come out wearing blackface. Which I thought was is like
No.
is obviously a bullshit thing, but a lot of people jumped on that sort of thing, especially because
you're kidding, right?
I know
People are fucking stupid.
I mean, it was like because Wago shared it in the Mega Maniacs basically, and Payton also like shared a link to like just search in the phrase like Finn Balor blackface, and just like loads of people just talking about how wow, it's great that you like crown your first like Black WWE champion, and then you do this bullshit. It's like people just can't tell that like you sometimes wear blackface paint if you're trying to just portray a character. It's not like he was doing it.
He's not playing that kind of a gimmick.
Yeah, he wasn't playing a black guy.
Come on, people.
I know.
People are fucking idiots.
Yeah, but some people are always going to make that sort of assessment because there are idiots out there. Rob's completely right in the sense that once Lashley had hit his first move, this match had already gone on too long, and like the spear to the outside was cool and all, but it didn't need to happen. And and I'm still waiting for my real explanation as to why isn't he the demon all of the time? If he's so much better as the demon, the only excuse can't be the phrase that it takes him too long to get paint on every day. That's not an excuse. There must be some consequence for him being the demon. Like, that's
the whole thing is stupid. That's the thing. It's all stupid. And I've been harping on this since the very beginning of when he popped up in NXT. I was just like, I don't fucking get the big deal. Like, Finn Balor can put on some good matches. He can't talk. He has this Demon King thing, which just... You know what it reeks of to me? Do you ever read anybody's fan fiction script idea, and they've got like, dude, I've got the coolest thing. It's like part Matrix and part whatever, and the character's name is like, I don't know, like Trent Demonics with an X. And, he's got like 50 fucking powers, and, he's wearing shades and wearing all black, and like, he doesn't do anything but like beat the shit out of people. Isn't it fucking great? And, and it's just like that type of shit. It's the type of crap where some goth kid that thinks that he's an actual vampire, or, the people that are super into dragons, and they have like the statues, and they're, this one's a wyvern or whatever. And it's like, it's just all dumb. And if this was a video podcast right now, you'd see that I just did a thing that I tend to do quite a bit, where it's making a motion of like pretending like I'm jerking myself off and just throwing the jizz afterward, because it's like, you're jerking yourself off here. Like, it's stupid. And that was the selling point to this, was he's gonna be the demon. He's gonna come out with that fucking dreadlock hat. It's so dumb.
Yeah, the way that you describe it. I mean, to be fair, it's wrestling, so of course that's the way it is.
That's the worst part. It's wrestling. Wrestling is stupid, and this is the stupid part about a stupid thing.
Yeah,
I can't even justify it being the dumb thing. It's like, ugh.
But since we're here, and because Callum opened my eyes to this ridiculous outrage, I'm going to just really quickly read something that says, WrestleMania, why is Finn Balor wrestling in blackface? It was bad enough when Piper did it at WrestleMania 6. Are you retarded? Like, are you like...
Anybody who tweeted anything like that is absolutely bonkers stupid.
Do me a favor, rewind it and edit that out. These people are just ridiculously stupid.
Sorry, you didn't say the full word, so I think we'll be fine.
We're fine.
But
the point is, you're all stupid if you think this. And, if anybody is the type of person that was tweeting that kind of stuff out, then please explain how dumb you are in the comments below and admit it.
Nope, this is better. This is the last one I'll read, but this is better. Wow, Finn Balor is wearing blackface and calling himself the Demon King? I can't believe this is WrestleMania.
If there's anybody who deserved to have their night ruined, it's those people, because they're just so stupid. But yeah, this was dumb. I don't give a shit about Bobby Lashley dropping the title to the person that he beat, that he had lost it to begin with, and all that. They're hot potatoing the title because they were like, well, we got to do something. And then they were like, well, I guess if we have him lose the title, then he can win it back. And it's dumb. This didn't need to happen.
I'm willing to bet that the actual original plan was Ambrose, Balor. But they quickly switched because Ambrose decided he was going to leave.
Should have been McIntyre, I think.
It could have been anything. You could have made a Reigns and McIntyre the Intercontinental title match instead.
Mm-hmm. So Reigns and McIntyre could have been the Intercontinental title match. McIntyre and Balor could have been the Intercontinental title, and McIntyre could have won the Intercontinental Championship. And then if you needed to have a Reigns match like that, Reigns and Bobby Lashley could have just done the same fucking thing that they did with McIntyre, because that didn't really tear the house down. So, you know,
yeah,
this is like, if you could fantasy book in retrospect, it's the same as kind of what we were doing. We were predicting it, where it was like, yeah, that's not feeling like WrestleMania, and it's just, you know, whatever. Like,
yeah.
Then it goes to show you how little this mattered because they put it in the death spot.
Oh yeah.
Well, now I'm just mad because it's exposed something completely different. But the match itself went on way too long. At this point, it was pushing midnight. And this is an issue that needs to be fixed next year.
Well, we had one more break here. This was a dance break. Well, Alexa Bliss says there's like 848,000 people in the crowd, or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
She was there to announce the fake attendance for this year.
Yeah, and then she cues up the R-Truth and Carmella dance break, which was probably the most underwhelming dance break that they've ever had, and cuts to a commercial.
I love the fact that they're trying to find anyone in the crowd that was actually dancing. Just try. It was mainly just like a load of little kids just moving around and stuff like that. But like, I think who was it? Somebody shared a video. I think it might have been.
I did.
Yeah, you shared somebody on Twitter, Joe Weller, who's like a YouTuber and stuff like that, who's out at WrestleMania, and he has shared a video on Twitter of just people actually falling asleep in their seats. It's just like
around this time.
Yeah. Well, just around about any point. Probably even earlier than this. Yeah. Just like, this is. I know it's a case of like maybe doing it earlier would be better, but it's just a case of it's just still too long. You shouldn't be sitting there watching wrestling for 7.5 hours, or whatever it ended up being. It just isn't right. The thing, you either need to start separating WrestleMania into 2 days, or you just need to accept that not everyone should be on the card. Just put your good stuff out there.
I think that second one sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
And the argument can be made, though, that they should try to do something like started at 3, started at
Oh yeah, they should start it earlier,
noon,
but they should also make it shorter as well. Like, it shouldn't be going anywhere longer, like even with like a pre-show or whatever, like any longer than 6 hours is too long.
Let's put it this way, if they can't figure out a way in 6 hours to put everybody that matters on the card, they haven't tried hard enough.
They've got too many people, that's the issue.
Oh.
They need to just...
Until everybody starts leaving for AEW, it's going to be a different story.
We can only hope. But at least we're near the end now. Yeah.
Let's just talk about the women.
Well, our main event was exactly what we thought it was going to be. Winner take all triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship and the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey going in with the Raw title. Charlotte going in through a little bit of helicopter bullshit.
Well, I liked it because it was a take on an old entrance from her dad. What I didn't like about it was the fucking awkward placement of this video. And then, was it Mike Rome? Or was it the other one?
Greg Hamilton.
It's like, Greg Hamilton's like, and this is your winner take all match, and his fucking mic gets cut out. And then, after seeing Charlotte come out of a helicopter, walking towards the building, by the way, in her gear, which was odd. But then he goes, here's Joan Jett, who's going to play Ronda Rousey to the ring.
None of it made any sense.
And
it just didn't come off as cool. And that, like, the wink and all that.
And by the way, from what I saw of this match, because, spoiler alert, it ended so late, I missed, like, the last 5 to 10 minutes because I passed out. And I don't want to say that. That sounds like a knock on the women. It's not. This card was way too long. I was very excited to know that Becky won. However, it was way too long. But from what I saw,
it didn't start until midnight.
From what I saw, the crowd was dead. Like, as hot as they were for the Becky thing and the man, by the time they got there, there was just like, I don't know, just get it over with.
I don't really blame them either because, I mean, even though I'm not tired like everybody else is, I know that I'm not fucking normal. And the stuff leading up to this, if you think about it, it's like, oh my god, yay, Kofi won! Oh shit, Samoa Joe's beat the shit out of Rey Mysterio, that didn't matter. Here's a Roman Reigns match that's about the same as everything else. Hey, John Cena's coming out, it's something from 15 years ago, that's kind of neat. Triple H and Batista, that's sort of whatever. There's a t-shirt. Crap, Baron Corbin actually beat Kurt Angle. Oh, well, that's a squash match basically with Finn Balor. Hey, we got 89,000 people in the crowd. And now it's 12:01. Let's get into the main event. They had a chunk of stuff that was just sort of not good enough, and people were tired.
Yeah, it was just a case of both the time taking its toll eventually, and the fact that they'd reached a really big emotional high with the Kofi Kingston one, and they never recovered from it.
And then they didn't live up to it. And I'm going to say it. I don't think they lived up to the build.
I can't say that this match was great.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It was a fine match, but
it was built like it was gonna blow your mind, and it was kind of just okay. And then I
think if you didn't manage your expectations, and if you went into this expecting it to be the match of the year, you definitely were going to be disappointed, and you were.
Oh, hold on. Well, why wouldn't I expect it to be the match of the year? Charlotte and Becky had the match of the year last year at Evolution. Why wouldn't I expect this to be the match of the year? This is them getting the opportunity to blow the roof off place in the main event of WrestleMania. Why shouldn't they have gone out there and stolen the show?
They should have.
Because it went on.
But I didn't think that they were going to.
And it shouldn't have.
Well, I think
this was about the quality that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a good match that deserved to be in the main event, and was, and did, and it's going to be blown out of proportion in the future. People are going to talk about it as being the match of the year, and it wasn't, because it wasn't even the match of the night. But it was good. I liked it. You know.
Yeah, it was fine. I think the big issue for me, in both with the actual timing, like sapping the crowd, you could tell the crowd was trying to use every last bit of its energy possibly could to get behind Becky Lynch. The bigger issue is the fact that it's a triple threat match, and it's not just the fact that it's a triple threat match. The bigger issue is the fact that when Ronda and Charlotte were fighting each other, nobody cared because nobody wanted either of them to win the match either. So it's like every time they would go for a pinfall on each other or go for a submission, everyone just saying, no, don't do this, don't do any of this. We just want Becky to be involved. In terms of like the get up and stuff like that, I mean, the performance for Joan Jett was fine enough. I've heard worse performances on a WrestleMania show, so I'll take that sort of thing. Charlotte's entrance was as grandiose as ever. Becky Lynch's attire was not entirely concealing. Put it that way. There was a lot of chat in the Mega Maniacs about Becky's nipples.
I didn't even notice.
They were literally like just almost trying to come out of her outfit. they were that noticeable. But I mean, there was some decent stuff like the middle rope Spanish Fly. Ronda looked really good in terms of just being very intense with everything that she was doing. Her stuff looked as real as she possibly could get. The basement drop kick by her, which sent her just crashing to the ground really hard, like on the back of the head. Yeah, it did definitely look like it hurt. Rousey flipping the table over and saying that tables for bitches. I thought that was funny. Cause just like flips off the fans. Oh, tables are for bitches, and that's why you fans like him. It's like she's really good as a heel. Everyone's good as a heel because it's so much easier to get over as a heel as a babyface in WWE. This was the point where Cole's voice losing was really starting to get on my nerves, but luckily it was the final match, so I didn't have to hear him that much often. The flip through the table was awful. Like the table.
Yeah, well, they didn't even flip through it.
The table didn't even break. Essentially,
they're like through the table, and it's like, yeah, it's the little crack.
Well, this thing is those two. A lot of I'd say a lot of women's matches. Not many women's matches don't have tables on it, but like I was thinking of like flashbacks to the Charlotte Sasha Banks Hell in a Cell match where they had a table, and it's just like these women are too light. The tables don't break.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it was Charlotte, and Charlotte's one of the biggest women they have, and even she couldn't break the table properly. And to be fair, she wasn't thrown in very hard. And then it's the pinfall at the end is probably the biggest source of controversy.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys get a sense that was just a fuck up? Because that's what I thought.
I don't know. It could have easily been a fuck up. It could have been that Rousey was meant to get one of her shoulders up, so it was meant to look controversial because they brought up the controversy of it afterwards, or Corey Graves did at least. Or it could have been or it could have just been like there's a lot of people positing the idea that it shouldn't have been a pin anyway, and the referee just went down for free, and Rousey forgot to kick out or something along those lines.
Sean Rossap is reporting that it wasn't. Though it was a botch, and Rousey likely it was either that Rousey likely forgot or that something was just off. But it is being reported that that wasn't the plan, and yeah, it seems awkward. I know they cut off immediately, like they were off at like 12:30 on the nose, and Smark moment writer Greg Coleman was wondering if maybe it was, Vince just saying, fuck it, go home because the crowd reaction was so bad.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could even be that. I mean, it definitely didn't look like the finish. Like, that should have been the finish.
I don't know, I'm kind of... The way they worked this whole angle, like it was a worked shoot kind of angle, I kind of assumed that maybe that was what was supposed to happen.
Are you satisfied?
Yes, because you know what? Seth won, Kofi won, Becky won. I don't know where they're going with any of them, but right now, at least the three big fan favorites won their matches.
I think with this match in particular, it was just a case of getting the title on the right person and not having a terrible match. And they didn't have a terrible match; they had a good match. So in that case, I am satisfied. I think they tried to do a lot of stuff that didn't come off as well as they would have thought in their head. And if that had come off better, then maybe the match would have been better. And if the finish was completely screwed up, then that's something that needs to be answered for as well. But overall, as long as the right person ended up with the titles, I mean, that would have been the most funny thing if the plan wasn't for Becky to win and they did actually end up having her. That would be the more interesting thing. Also,
I kind of feel like WrestleMania was sort of a C that could have been a B+ if they would have made a couple different decisions and if they would have planned it out better a couple weeks ago. Because remember, this wasn't planned. Like this wasn't the WrestleMania that we got was clearly not what they were leaving WrestleMania 34 thinking that they were going to do. And a month ago, if they would have had some better ideas, I think that we could have gotten an A-. But we got it like a C.
Yeah, I think a 6 out of 10 is probably how I would describe it.
It's 6 out of 10 for me as well. But again, I'm not gonna say too much because the right people won the major matchups. So yay.
We had one match of the year contender in the Kofi Kingston Daniel Bryan match.
Spark out moment of the year. Beautiful.
But
yeah, I'm not even writing it down for match of the year though. Match of the night. Not match of the year. War Raiders and Black and Ricochet beat it hands down to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, but at least in terms of like tender, and then it's just a case of like, even if the match isn't up to the same par, the whole moment and emotion surrounding it does kind of lift it up a little bit more, at least in my mind.
It wasn't match of the year, but it's sport entertainment of the year.
Yes, I was definitely entertained.
And finally, we can then just say that this was, as Cole obviously put it, because he's such a corporate stooge, WrestleMania, as opposed to
okay, but that's not his fault.
Yes, it is.
That's not his fault. No, that's not his fault.
He could refuse.
No, he couldn't.
He
They've
could,
been
he
selling.
could grow a set of balls and
No,
say,
he
"I'm not
couldn't.
saying that. It's fucking
They have
stupid."
been selling those shirts since the night after the Rumble. He can't refuse.
Ugh.
Poor guy.
Well, that is our discussion on WrestleMania 35. If you went through this whole thing, we're about 3 hours long. So
I'd like to apologize because I got very cranky. It's 3 a.m. I don't know how I'm awake.
He's taking that.
Well, it is the biggest show of the year. It
Yeah.
makes sense that we would end up talking a lot about it because, I mean, even if they retcon half of this shit tomorrow night, it's supposed to be the most important thing. So
I would say not. I mean, if you are already listening to this and gotten to this point, then I can't really stop you. But I wouldn't have listened to this like straight after WrestleMania. I probably would have taken a break from wrestling for a couple of days and then come back to this.
If you are that devoted to our podcast that you listen to 3 hours of us, I thank you. And thank you. Please go. Please go drink water and stay hydrated.
We're gonna just wrap things up here by going through plug side of things. Let me really quickly just brush through the usual stuff. If you are unfamiliar, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and that way you will be aware of whatever the hell is next that we're doing. Probably later on this week, it'll be the hot tags. And then later on after that, we're going to be breaking down the tournament that we just are going to be running through. We're in the finals right now as we're recording, so it'll be over by a couple of days from now, which is the Smark Madness tournament of the what's the best finisher or the best foreign object of all time. We've got the Road to WrestleMania giveaway where you can win the Funko Pop. That's going to be ending very soon. Eventually, we're going to be talking about the Superstar Shakeup and giving our review and our thoughts and the kind of stuff that goes along with that. So that stuff's happening on YouTube. Check off the little notification bell. It's also stuff you can find on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, lots of different podcast material stuff out there. It's all through Anchor. So just, kind of start clicking around on that and you'll find that stuff. If you find us on there, give us a review of some kind of sort, hopefully a good one, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Check out all the stuff that's happening on SmarkOutMoment.com because we have more than just the podcast stuff. There's articles and there's reviews and predictions and plenty of other stuff that I have to go through. I have to go through later on tonight after I do even more fucking work and adjust my predictions for babyface and heel turns and bunch of different things.
By the
So
way,
just start
Johnny,
browsing around.
John Cena said that he turned heel. Why didn't you say?
Yeah, that's it. He did not. Everybody who's no, that's not a thing. So that's all happening with SmarkOutMoment.com. On FanboysAnonymous.com, I've got that kind of stuff. So check that out for geek culture material. I've got stuff on eWrestling News. I've got stuff on Bleacher Report. You'll see plenty of things happening over the next couple of days with me. And just follow my accounts and you'll start seeing all that stuff. And I'm probably forgetting a lot of stuff I'm forgetting about the Patreon. If you got some spare change, throw it our way that way and keep the lights on. You could also buy the merchandise stuff on Redbubble and TeePublic. Now I think I've kind of done it all. So, yeah. Rob?
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at holy shit, I almost said Wigmeister14. At Dude Police. TimekillerApparel.com. I'm on eWrestling News in about 5 hours. Thank you. Here's Callum.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14 or Dude Police, maybe. I don't know. We can swap it around every now and again.
Goodmeister14.
Check out 2001: A Wrestling Odyssey. If you want to go back and listen to reviews of WrestleMania 17 or the reviews of 2001 back in January, February, and March, check out those episodes. Obviously, all the weekly articles, check those out. But the power rankings, I'm doing my hard reset for the start of the year because it's the start of a new season of WWE WrestleMania. So we'll have a new top 10 list, completely fresh, based on the results of WrestleMania and the nights after WrestleMania as well. So check those out to see who's top by the end of the week. And yeah, that's it from me.
Well, that's going to be it for all of us. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this and all of your support. Thank you for leaving your comments below if you've done that already. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for every single thing that you do that's out there. We will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.